Okay, hello, welcome back. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So we have completed a significant chunk of our syllabus, the conceptual part of our syllabus. We have completed a significant chunk, and I always try to teach you the conceptual things because rest other things, what are the issues, what are the solutions, that all keep on appearing in newspapers and economic surveys, so that you can read and you can understand. But concepts are something which is very difficult to understand and which are not explained a lot. So we have completed majority of our chunk of our conceptual syllabus. You can say right from the first lecture, right from the basic lecture of GDP, introduction to fiscal policy, monetary policy, inflation, taxation, banking, very important, banking, balance of payments, everything we have covered. We have covered with balance of payments. Let us quickly revise what is balance of payments. Balance of payments, we saw that it is a statement of inflow and outflow of foreign exchange dollars. In the last lecture, we have seen a lot of new concepts. Last lecture was a big one. It was a heavy one. We have also read an article in the print, right? Then we have seen that. Then we have also seen we have also seen what is nominal effective exchange rate, what is real effective exchange rate. It is nothing but a weighted average of the proportion of the trade in the total trade of the trade with a bilateral country or with a country in the total trade basket of our country. So for example, if with US, if we are having a 30% share of trade, then that US dollars to Indian rupees would be taken as 30% interest rate. Then we saw dollarization of rupee. We also saw hard currency, soft currency. We saw a lot of things. Apart from this also, we saw that why balance of payments position is tricky to maintain, because convertibility ka issue hai. How much deficit is right, how much deficit is wrong. Is convertibility advisable? Is full capital account convertibility advisable? What are the restrictions we should keep, or what are the preconditions which should be there to ensure capital account convertibility? All those things we have to take care of. So now let me start with a very interesting, or let me start with a very new topic which I would like to tell. It as prelims, how to approach prelims. Because see, after all, this is the main hurdle of the exam. This is the first part. This is the main burden or main hurdle for the exam. We all know that we give a lot of importance to mains, but prelims are also very important. And I hope you know the syllabus. I hope you know the question paper pattern. You will get 100 questions of 2 marks each. 200 marks ka hoga. You will have one third negative marking, which means 0.66. So every wrong question will give you minus 2.66 from the total, and every right question will give you +2. And every question which you leave, it is not 0. Every question which you leave, it is actually -2, because you are not attempting that question. So -2 matlab you are losing out on those 2 marks. If you do it wrong, it is -2.66. If you leave, it is -2. If you attempt it and get it right, it is +2. So either you just see the probability of scoring very high marks, right? So now simple hai, 200 marks ka goal we have to achieve. If you know the previous year's cutoff, it is ranging from anything from 94, 95 to 116. Okay? Let us consider 120 as a safe, 120 plus as a safe score. Let us hypothetically consider 120 plus as a safe score. Now for 120 plus, how many questions you need to get it correct? You need to get at least 60 correct. Okay, to get 120. But 60 is what? 60 is net correct. Now I hope you understand what is net word. Net correct, net, not gross correct. Net correct means after reducing your negative markings, after reducing the questions which you have done wrong, after वो सब घटा के, after reducing all that, net correct कितना बचता है, that is 60, and then you will get 120. For example, you got 80 correct, you attempted 80, but उसमें से you also had a few wrong answers. So net after reducing 1/3 marking for negative 1/3 marking, how much you get net correct? So net correct you need 60. Now 60 में से to reach this net correct as 60, I will tell you कि no matter how hard you study, if you study very hard, if you put in all your sweat, if you do lot of hard work, lot of smart work, lot of mehnat, you slog and then you go for prelims, you will be able to be sure कि I am sure this is correct. Sure मतलब एकदम sure कि I have read this, I know this, like, right? It is like definition of GDP. I have read this, I know this. It is like the difference between GDP and GNP. I have read this, I know this. वैसे होंगे maximum 35. 240 maximum. ठीक है? Unless the paper comes exceptionally easy, if the paper comes exceptionally easy, the cutoff, this 120 plus would not be a safe score, it would go to 130 or 135 also. It depends on UPSC, cutoff has been 92, 94 से लेके 116. So you can imagine the range of cutoff, or you can imagine the way UPSC plays with us in terms of difficulty of the paper, right? Recently, or the trend has been that after hitting the peaks of 2016, so the highest cutoff was in 2016. After hitting the peaks of 2016, 2017, 18, 19 mein cutoff has been consistently lowering, and it is assumed, it is expected that 2020 cutoff will be around 100 to 105, thoda upar, a little bit up, right? So I was saying कि 35 to 40 you will be sure कि you are getting marks. So let us say 40 you are getting sure हो कि आँख बंद करके you have marked, कि without even reading the full question you have marked, and because you know the answer. How much marks is this? 80. How much is the safe score? 120 plus. This is your journey for prelims. This is the competition. Competition is not from 0 to 120 plus. It is assumed that you have studied very well, and when you study very well, you will get 80 marks. 70, 80 marks too you will get. There is no doubt about it. But is 80 sufficient? It is not sufficient. Is 100 sufficient? Definitely not sufficient. 120, 125 is considered to be a safe score. See, what do I mean by this is कि if you get less than 120, you will not clear. ऐसा नहीं, I am not saying that. You know, if the cutoff is 94, even 95 or 94.25 will also get you through the exam. But I'm talking about the safe score. Now, why safe score is important? I'll tell you why. Your prelims and mains, pre and mains, the gap between pre and mains would be roughly 80 days. It can be plus 10, minus 10 also, would be roughly 80 days. It can go to 100 days also and anything, right? Your result plus 40 days के अंदर आ जाता है normally. See, these are all tentative timelines, it can extend also. Your result comes pre plus 40 days mein. So which is roughly half of the period which you get between pre and mains, right? Now, if you are not sure about clearing, no matter how well you try to control your mind, no matter how well you try to internally motivate yourself, you will not be able to give your 200% effort in this. You need 200% of efforts in these 80 days, the time gap between prelims and mains. You need that much time. You definitely need that much time. But if you are not sure that you are clearing, let's say you ask your friends are getting approximately 100 and you are getting 102. You are not sure cutoff kya hoga. Some people are saying 100 would be the cutoff, some people or some classes or anyone, some people are saying 108 would be the cutoff approx. You are not sure clear hoga, nahi hoga. With that feeling of trepidation in the mind, with that feeling of unsurety in the mind, with that feeling ki uncertainty hai, you will not be able to utilize this gap effectively. And that is why I say ki once you hit this mark, if the paper is of a normal difficulty or a little bit difficult level, then this mark is safe. If the paper comes easy, this goes to 130. Okay, I am not debating or denying that. So if you are able to hit this mark, let's say if you get 120 plus and your friends or your anyone you ask who are getting between 100 to 105 and you are getting 120 plus, you are definitely sure that you are clearing it. Okay, unless some mistake happens or unless something happens in CSAT paper, which is a qualifying paper, unless you are not sure about CSAT, then you will be confident here. Okay? You will be confident here, and this each and every one of 80 days you will squeeze out the maximum efficiency, maximum productivity, maximum time out of these 80 days, and which will ultimately help you clear this. Samjha? So from now only make your mindset, prepare your mindset that you have to reach this target. Yaar 120 to hai hi, you have to score 120. Even if the paper comes very extremely difficult, ki cutoff goes to 80, this 120 will become 110. But at least target 120 na, so that you reach 110. That is what my point is, right? When I gave my first prelims exam, the cutoff was 105.33, something like that. In 2017, the cutoff was 105. I was well above the cutoff, I was comfortable. That is why I was able to give mains very nicely. My friend was not, so he was getting around 100. So we were not sure ki what will be the cutoff. So it was 105, but cutoff is revealed after the interviews. After the interviews are done, after the final selection list is showed, and then afterwards you get to know the cutoffs. Okay, right? So now 2020's cutoff would be given. Let's say today is what, July, August. Mein after interview gets over, after that in August end 2020 cutoff would be released. So 2020 cutoff jab release hoga, those who are giving in 2021, they have only 1 month to prepare, right? So irrespective of the actual cutoff, we should target this so that our this becomes very useful, this becomes very fruitful, and we are able to clear mains. And it is not ki prelims clear ho gaya but mains nahi hua. See, I know there are a lot of people who think that at least one stage clearing is also a big deal. Yes, it is a big deal, no doubt. 5 lakh people appearing in the exam and only 15,000 being selected, it is a big deal. But ultimately our aim is not to clear prelims or mains or interview. No, our aim is to become an officer, and for that you need to do everything right. Okay. So if only starter is tasty but main course and dessert is not tasty, what is the use? Any of the meal, any of the things which are not tasty, it won't make sense. Nahi hoga wo. Okay. So 120 we have to score. Now I am telling you 80 you will score. When you are studying here, when there is Santosh sir to take care of current affairs, I am taking care of economy, you have very good teachers for geography, and then I am hoping that you are revising also on a timely basis. You should not rely on anyone completely in anything in life, not even an UPSC preparation mein to bilkul bhi nahi. You should have your own independent strategy as well. So 80 to you will get, no doubt about it. By the time you write your UPSC prelims exams, 80 to ensured hai. But what about this? This is the journey we need to do together, and this is the competition. So out of 5 lakh, everyone does not study well, but at least the 50,000, top 50,000, they study well. They have studied very hard for prelims also, right? So they will be trying hard to reach here, and then here everything is like a minefield. Mines hote na, you step on it or it might blast. So every one question, so let's say this 40 you have got correct. Every one question which you attempt will either take you towards 120 or either will take you away from 80 also, backwards, right? Because it's a negative marking. And I'm not saying that you will not know anything more than 40 questions. Aisa nahi hai ki you will not know anything. You will know, but you will know partially. 1 or 2 statements you will know, or you might not recollect some things, or you will know ki I have read this but I can't recollect, it is vague, it is this, it is that. So might be there, might not be there will be the scenario here, right? So that is why, to prevent that, how to prevent this situation, to minimize this situation, multiple revisions is required of a single book. That is why I told you, if you are reading one book for economy, be it Ramesh Singh, Vivek Singh, be it Sri Ram, or any book, then stick to that book. Keep that book as your Bible, make that book as your Bible, and stick to that book only. And of course, current affairs, when you are reading current affairs, newspaper is definitely there, but when Santosh sir will take his current affairs class for 2022, then that is when you make that source religiously without leaving newspapers. Newspapers though, you have to stick to it without even thinking about leaving it. Okay? So this is the journey. Now I'll tell you what is my personal analysis about. Okay? So there are 100 questions. So I call this the 2020 rule. What is the 2020 rule? If there are 100 questions, these will be divided into usually 5 groups of 20. 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. Okay? 5 groups of 20 questions. So these 20 would be very, 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 very easy. Basic NCERT questions, very, very easy questions. These would be very, 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 very difficult. Nobody has heard about them, right? These would be easy. Now this is the 40 I was talking to you about, which you have to get with 100% accuracy. Yes or no? 100% accuracy you have to score in this. The competition lies in this, because this nobody knows. So everyone is going to play guessing work. These 40 questions these 40 questions are the main competition, or they are the main deal breakers or deal makers. Okay. These 40 questions you have to focus. Now the funny thing about this is that this will vary from person to person. What I consider to be very difficult, that I have not heard about it, you might be considering it as very easy because you just read about it yesterday. What I consider to be very simple, अरे ये तो दिया हुआ है book में, you might be thinking it is a bit difficult, it is on a difficult side. Why? Because you have not revised it. So this 2020 will differ from person to person, but overall a person's preparation, if he sticks to the sources, given the limited time we have, given the limited range of memory, given the limited resources we bodily resources we have, strength, efficiency, concentration, motivation, all of that, more or less, see this 20 matlab exact 20 nahi hoga, it will be 25, 15, anything can happen, but more or less 2020 would be this. Now these questions you don't have to worry about. So whenever you do past year papers, if you realize that this is a very difficult question and it was asked from some reference books, let's say you got a culture, you got a question in art and culture, and you said ki arey this is not there in NCERT, this is not there in Nitin Singhania, this is not there in any standard book which is referred to, and this is there in some random big book, big author's book or very fat book, it is there in this. Obviously it will be there in that. No? It is a big book, it is a fat book, there are more pages there, there will be more content there. So if that question has come from there, then you think that if I read that book I will know everything. But trust me, UPSC also knows what is there in every book. So then UPSC will ask something which is not there in that book, right? So don't focus on that one question and read that another extra big bulky source and lose out the time to revise your existing NCERTs or existing sources or existing books. So that one question would be here very difficult level. So in pursuit of that one question or revising that one question, you are messing up with all these 80 questions, which might come from NCERT, which might come from standard sources, which might come from standard books. Are you getting this? For example, in economy, there are a lot of books on economy which are very good. They are brilliant books. Like if I got the chance to read them for my academic purposes, then I would be very happy to read them. Day and night I will read them. I will read them. I read them now also, right? But the thing is, are they helping me with this? No, they are not. One, very static. Second, very bulky. Third, difficult to revise. So I will stick to my sources only. I will stick to one standard reference book which is made for UPSC examination, which is not made for Delhi School of Economics, which is not made for IIM, which is not made for London School of Economics, which is not made for anything else. It is made for UPSC. And even then, if UPSC asks this question, which is very difficult, I can be confident that I have done my bit and rest everything else is in UPSC's. But if you have not done your bit, then this is threatened, and this once threatens your chance or disrupts your chance to give the mains exam. Samjha? So you always, and the trick is to identify these questions. That is the trick here. The trick is not to mark the right answer. See, that is to everyone will do that. You are studying for UPSC. You will practice so much now. You will give tests day and night, and you will go to the exam. You are expected to know how to mark the right answers, and if you know the right answers, and how to take a guess and all. But the true challenge lies in identifying which ones to attempt and which ones to leave. That is the true challenge. So if you just, for the sake of risk taking, if you go on attempting these 20 which you have no idea about, negative marking will start getting accumulated, minus 2.6, minus 2.6, minus 2.6, that will drastically bring your score down. If you make mistakes in these 40, then that will bring your score down. If you identify ki yes, these two I know I am definitely going to attempt, out of these 20, at least 10 I know which I am not going to touch, or at least 5 I know which I am not going to touch. That is also very important. Some very random thing coming from art and culture, coming from ancient history, which you have no idea about. Even the options you haven't heard about, any word which is mentioned in the question you have not heard about. So when you see such a question, you cannot take a guess. Unless absolutely required, unless you have attempted only 60 and you don't know anything else in the paper or any other question in the paper, then so you have to close your eyes and mark something. Okay? But identification of these difficult questions and leaving some of them, 5, 6 to leave karna hi hai, leaving some of them is very crucial. Next, sir, very common question I get, sir, how much to attempt? Now the question is how much to attempt. Okay? The answer is there is no one right answer. It depends on the paper. If the paper is very difficult, then even 80 questions would be a very good attempt because you don't know the other questions. Nobody knows the other questions. Okay? If it is a very easy paper, then even 90 plus is a very easily achievable attempt. Okay? So my personal experience, my personal suggestion, my experience of my students and my friends के साथ मिलके, I would like to say that around minimum 85 तो होना चाहिए minimum. That is what I feel. You can go to 95 also, 85 to 95 depending on the paper, depending on your preparation. If you are very lucky that even the difficult questions are ones which you have read or you know which by applying logic you can solve, you can try to solve, go ahead, do it. Attempt 90, 95 or even attempt 99. I have one friend who attempts 99 or 100 questions and he clears the exam with very high marks. Very good. But don't go below 85. Do not go. Why? Because if you go below 85, the person sitting in front of you, the person sitting behind you, they will mark it, and even if they get it right by mistake, their score will increase. Your competition score is increasing, but your score is not, and then you might lag behind. Okay? So now you have just started your preparation, the tips and tricks of prelims and everything we are going to see. I will tell you one important source for practicing questions. One very important source for practicing question. Past year prelim questions. This is the single most important source. जितना पीछे जा सकते हो जाओ. You can go beyond 2013 also, 2012, 2011. You will find the paper on website, online websites. UPSC website will not have these old papers, this much back in the past, sorry. But other websites will have. जितना हो सकता है practice. But at the same time, ensure that you don't practice irrelevant questions. So something which is current affairs in 2012, you should not focus on that. At least focus on the conceptual part. Look at the language, how they are forming the question. Look at the wordings they are using. Look at the way they are forming their sentences. Look at the way they are forming their options. That is also very important. Once you do that, you are trying to get into the mind of UPSC. Remember, I told in the very first lecture, in the introduction lecture, that this exam is all about knowing the exam and then knowing yourself. So now you are trying to know the exam. We spent 3 lectures on past year question analysis. Who does that? Nobody does that. You will not see 3 to 4 lectures on past year question analysis. And that to agriculture ka we have not even seen the questions, right? Who does that? But that is the process, that is the mindset in which you need to get in order to be able to write good answers or read properly, revise properly and mark the correct answers. Past year prelims questions. And don't think ki ek baar kar liya, ho gaya, done, I have seen the question, I know the answer, done. You can practice it 2-3 times. After 2 months, let's say today you practice the past year questions. After a month or after let's say 3-4 weeks, again practice them. Even if you know the answer, just go through them. That is very important. The reason for my prelim success in every attempt I have given is the simple reason is I stuck to past year question papers. Now you will get questions from LevelUp IAS. You will find test series in the market of other classes also, of vision, of insights. You will find these questions on the websites also, IAS Baba, Insights, etc. There are so many sources available. So I am telling you frankly I am telling you in a very informal way that there are many questions which are available. Many questions are there for practice. You can practice all these questions. There is no harm in it, but not at the cost of this. See, who forms these questions ultimately? People like me, people like sir. In every institute there are teachers. In every institute there are students who are senior enough to know how to form questions and all, right? but we are not UPSC. Nobody is UPSC. Who is UPSC? Past year prelim question paper set by UPSC. You have to practice them at no excuses. No excuses. You have to practice. Okay? So I have a lot of tips and tricks to tell you about prelims, but since we are just beginning, we can discuss these maybe in Zoom sessions also. So when you have sufficient practice, you can ask me questions in Zoom sessions. We will be having regular Zoom sessions. वो तो रहेगा ही, we will not leave your hand. ऐसे after the course is over, खत्म हो गया, who are you, I don't know you, ऐसा नहीं है. Till the date of your interview, I will be helping you. If you need my help, I will be helping you. If you don't need my help, that is also fine. ठीक है? So basically in interview we speak about communication skills and all, and I have a good what you can say, good experience in that field, so I can help anyone with communication skills, personality skills, how to present answers, how to present yourself, how to give very honest answers without sounding very rude and all these are part of interview. So I give interview guidance also. So if when you reach interview, when you reach interview, we will do that also together. ठीक है? तभी तो I will say कि अरे GDP का definition and all, तो it is by default you should know now, because you know, just imagine how embarrassing it will be if a panel asks a definition of GDP to a person and he doesn't know. And there are cases like this. Trust me, I have friends who have reached interview stage but they don't know what is GNP, what is NDP and all of that. See, they know कि NDP is GDP minus depreciation. Arey, but what does it mean? What is the exact logic behind calculating NDP? That is what UPSC asks and then you don't know, right? Now, what is the weightage of economics? What is the weightage? So, if you see in prelims, the syllabus says economic and social issues. Economics and social issues. Okay? So, what is the weightage of economics? And agriculture also. Now very important point I am going to tell you. Agriculture overlaps with environment part of GS3 with geography part of GS1. Okay? We'll discuss that when we start with agriculture. So agriculture overlaps a lot. So some people might categorize it as geography, some people might categorize it as economy. I personally don't categorize it as economy. I'll tell you why. If you notice the syllabus of GS3 agriculture, we have not seen it yet, but if you notice that, you will realize it is talking about the economics of agriculture and not agriculture per se. Food processing, PDS, buffer stock, minimum MSP, minimum prices, then subsidies, different types of subsidies, e-technology. It talks about the economics of agriculture and not agriculture per se. Geography talks about the geography of agriculture and environment talks about the environment of agriculture. So agriculture is the most what we say, sarvajanik or most common topic spread across spread in three different directions. So when we speak about GS 3.1 to 10, the reason it is clubbed with economy is because they are talking about economics of agriculture. Is agriculture remunerative? Is the money reaching farmers? Are farmers able to control their cost? How to support farmers, right? Are we getting products as consumers? Are we getting food grains and all the agri products at lesser cost? Is storage hampering the viability of exports, agri exports, insurance? They are all economic angles to agriculture and not agriculture per se. So when you want to study agriculture per se, please refer geography. There is a big overlap between so many topics. Prelims में economy and social issues साथ में दिया है, but in mains we know that social or societal is divided into GS1 society, which is neutral point of view, and GS2 social justice, which is a positive point of view. And GS2 में social justice is very positive. What are you doing for vulnerable sections? What are you doing for women? What are you doing for poor? Right? But GS1 society is a neutral point of view. कि what is there? Caste system है. ठीक है? What are the characteristics of caste system? Bad, good, that comes later. But first you need to know the problem with a very neutral angle. Okay? Doctors, when they approach a problem, let's say they are operating on you and you have some problem in your stomach and they have cut open your stomach and they are operating. They are not saying, "Arey, ye bahut ganda hai, this is very bad, this is very good. Oh, he has such a nice stomach. Oh, there is so much of what we say, tumor, or there is a big tumor in his stomach." They don't do that. Neutral point of view. They try to analyze the problem and then they judge ki it is good problem or bad problem. So GS1 society is more neutral. Social justice is, हम तो बढ़ा के रहेंगे, we will increase the status of vulnerable sections. That is social justice. So it's very subtle, but the differences are there, and that should be reflected in your answers. If you write social justice answers for society and society answers for social justice, you will get marks, no doubt you will get marks, but you will get little less marks. That is the difference. Okay? So when we speak about economics and agriculture, if I mix agriculture also, if I mix the economic part of agriculture, not the agri, not the soil part of agriculture, climate part of agriculture, uh, topography part of agriculture, weather part of agriculture, we are not mixing that, then I would say around 18 questions would appear out of 100. 18 plus only, 18 to let's say 22. This is the range. It might fall below it might go above it also depending on the division, but the past 8 years trend has been that around 18 to 22 questions. So kitna hota hai? Roughly 1/5. Just imagine, roughly 1/5 is of economics and agriculture. Itna weightage. And out of these 18 also, at least 12 would be conceptual. At least. Conceptual or straightforward current. एकदम ही straightforward. Remaining 5-6 would be thoda twisted, and you have to apply your brain and you have to think a lot, right? So we are going to see prelims questions, but it was necessary to give you a brief orientation about prelims because mains mein we have spent a lot of time on discussing the questions and how to approach and how to analyze all these questions. But for prelims, this becomes very, very, very important. 12 conceptual questions right aane hi chahiye, unless you have not heard about the concept. If you have heard about the concept, if you know the concept, then you should not make mistakes. Then easy current questions you should be able to answer, and then comes the difficult ones which were in the later 20 part of it. Beach ka 20 hai na. So economics mein normally questions don't go in the last 20 bracket. Normally they don't go. Maximum kiska jata hai? Environment and culture. These two subjects maximum they go in this. So this maximum is art and culture and environment, maximum. Okay? But economics normally restricts itself to the first 60. Normally. Normally is the word I am saying. Tomorrow UPSC might change the pattern. UPSC will start asking microeconomics questions from 2020. See, UPSC has never mentioned micro or macro. This is our in mains it has mentioned ki issues relating to Indian economy and etc. etc. But in prelims, UPSC has never mentioned ki micro hai ki macro hai. In fact, in UPSC, if you see other exams, CDS, CAPF, etc., micro questions are also asked. 1 or 2 micro questions are asked. But so far for civil service, hardly micro questions have been asked. So, kitna padenge? That is the question, and that is micro has very less relevance for mains. That is why we stick with macro only. But almost all the questions have come from macro, have come from current, and have been restricted to the first 60 only. Okay? So with this in mind, let us begin with prelims question papers. Now I will not tell the answer. You have to guess the answer. We'll spend time on this, but we'll see how to solve these questions. So just let me start the slideshow. Right? We'll start with fiscal policy. There are some topics which I have left, which we'll take it later on. So why should we have all the questions at once? So let us start with fiscal policy. Right? Read 2015 this question. Read this question. This is from fiscal policy. In exam, you will not come to know which topic is it talking about, but since we are doing topic wise, so I have consolidated these questions. Read this question. Read this question. 2015. I will hide this. 2015. Read this question. Please try to read it and try to tell me the answer. In the exam, you get 120 minutes to solve 100 questions. So per question, you are getting a little over a minute. But at the same time, your time also goes in writing your, in marking that roll number and just flipping through the question paper and seeing what is there, what is not there, what is tough, what is easy. So you can expect less than a minute for every question. So less than a minute for answering this question. What do you think? there has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. Which of the following actions can be taken by the government to reduce the deficit? What are the actions that can be taken by the government to reduce the deficit? 1. Reducing revenue expenditure. 2. Introducing new welfare schemes. 3. Rationalizing subsidies. 4. Expanding industries. I hope it is very simple. It was asked in 2015 paper. Now think about it. Which of the following actions can be taken by the government to reduce the deficit? Okay? Now, before this, one very important part I would like to say. Before this, very important, in UPSC, in MCQs, elimination is the most effective method. Elimination means to know which option cannot be the answer. You have to eliminate the answers. See, in KBC you must have seen contestants saying कि B or C तो नहीं है because I know कि this is not related. I am confused between A and D. ठीक है? Or I know A is not there, B, C and D I have no idea. ऐसा. First try to eliminate it. If you know what is the exact thing that is asked, then obviously you directly go hit the bullseye. But if you don't know, you try to eliminate it. So let's say, which of the following actions can be taken by government to reduce the deficit? We want to reduce the deficit. So reducing revenue expenditure. Will reducing revenue expenditure help reduce the deficit? Yes, expenditure hai. If you reduce the revenue expenditure, see, they are not asking whether it is good or bad. Please, mains analysis, side main. This is prelims. Very, very objective, very, very focused. Reducing revenue expenditure, yes, we can reduce revenue expenditure and then we can help with our budget. Introducing new welfare schemes, what do you think will happen when you introduce new welfare schemes? You will require more money for implementing schemes. When you require more money for implementing schemes, what will happen to your budget? Your budget will not reduce, it will increase. So second cannot be the answer, right? So all options which have 2 have to be eliminated. So there is 2 here and there is 2 here. So B is eliminated, D is eliminated. When B and D are eliminated, 1 by default becomes correct. Yes or no? See, B eliminated, D eliminated. 1 A and C में 1 तो है, दोनों में common है. So 1 by default becomes correct. So 1 तो correct है. And 4 is not there only because you have eliminated 4. So don't even look at 4. See, 4 तो we know expanding industries also will help in increasing the deficit and not reducing the deficit. So 4 तो है नहीं. Now the question comes on 3, whether 3 is there or not there. Rationalizing subsidies. I told you, rationalize means to streamline, means to cut off unnecessary subsidies, means to increase efficiency. Yes or no? So you know that rationalizing subsidies is the answer. You know reducing revenue expenditure is the answer. What have we done here? We have eliminated this. Why we have eliminated? Because it has 2. Because 2 is introducing new welfare scheme. So 2 nahi aayega. This will not be there. This will not be there. This is eliminated. 1 by default becomes correct. So 1 by default becomes correct. 4 dekhna hi nahi hai. 4th you should not see only. It all boils down to 3. So whether 3 is there? Yes, 3 is there. So answer is A. This is the process you have to follow for questions. You have to keep your eyes, ears, not ears, you have to keep your eyes and mind open whenever you are reading prelims questions. See, mains mein even if you make a mistake of 1 or 2 words, the examiner might not even see it, or the examiner might say ki theek hai, overall he will reduce 1 mark, right? Yahan pe, and overall that 1 mark is being reduced from how much? Out of a total of 250 marks. This is 2.66 marks getting reduced out of a total 200 marks. So this is much more harmful. Playing with one word is much more harmful here. So I hope you are able to get the answer here. Let us see this. 2016 live. These are all live questions. No classes, no second hand, no ready-made material. This is all live UPSC questions. Please try to read this. I'll give you a minute to read this. Try to solve this in a minute. And the reason why they are on the same slide, I hope you are able to get why they are on the same slide. Yes or no? Why they are on the same slide? See the language, see the options and tell me the answer. I told you starting में कि UPSC sometimes does crazy things. This is a crazy thing. क्या है ये? Same है? Simple hai yaar. It's very, very, very simple. There has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. There has been a persistent deficit budget year after. You can go and verify. I'm not. ये झूठ नहीं है. It is 2016 question 3. This is 2015 question 98. This is set A. हाँ, set A के questions है ये. So don't say कि सर का question तो नहीं है. If you are referring set B, C, D, there are 4 sets of a paper. This is set A. ठीक है, the questions are same. They are just jumbled up. Even not individual questions are not jumbled up. Series of questions are jumbled up. So first 10 questions would be the last 10 in the other set. So 10 or 15 के sets होते हैं. They are jumbled up. ठीक है. There has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. Which of the following actions can be taken? Reducing revenue expenditure, introducing new welfare scheme, rationalizing subsidies, expanding. Change है इसमें. Good. कुछ तो change किया ना. So reducing. So first of all, reducing revenue expenditure. Yes, reducing revenue expenditure है तो 2B gets eliminated. You know why B gets eliminated? Reduce the deficit करना है तो reduce expenditure करना ही पड़ेगा. So one is correct and 2B gets eliminated. Why? Because B doesn't have 1. So now 1 only, 1 and 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4. ठीक है, let us see. Let us move ahead. Introducing new welfare schemes. We know that this is not the case. So 2 wale options get eliminated. So 2 gets eliminated. Again it boils down to 1 only and 1 and 3 only. So 4 again automatically gets eliminated. 4 gets eliminated. When 4 gets eliminated, you have to look at 3. Rationalizing subsidies. This is like Sudoku na. If ye hai, to ye eliminate ho jata hai. You cannot write the answer here. This is like Sudoku. Rationalizing subsidies. Of course we know rationalizing subsidies. Of course we have seen past year paper. Of course it is 1 and 3. The answer is C. Sir, इतने easy आते हैं क्या? नहीं. These are the easy ones. But let us move ahead. ठीक है, answer is C. This answer is A. Are you understanding this? I am deliberately going slow because some of you might have experience of solving questions, prelims questions. That experience might have taught you something, but I am teaching you the safe way of arriving at an answer. Then we will also see what happens if we don't know ki kya hai, what is there. We will see all that. Don't worry. Right? So I hope you are. These were the easy ones. I would rate them 2 on 10 of difficulty. But now answer one question. Just one simple question answer. If you don't know the concept of deficit, if you don't know the concept of revenue expenditure and subsidies and all. Now if I tell you what is new welfare scheme, is it capital or revenue, you will be able to tell that also, etc. If you don't know the concept, will you be able to solve these questions with happiness, with fun, with laughter? No. Then stress आएगा कि अरे क्या है, rationalizing मतलब क्या है, what will happen when you reduce import duty? Are you getting this? So that is why. And see, even if you don't know import duty का impact क्या है, it is irrelevant because 4 cannot be the answer. 4 is there with 2 and 2 you know cannot be the option, so that gets eliminated. Many times you know, honestly speaking, A is the answer. Many times honestly I want to tell you that the question is not tough, the options are very tough. So for example, if they have given some very difficult options here, specific options, introducing UBI, Universal Basic Income. Now you don't know whether that has an effect of increasing deficit or actually reducing deficit because UBI will lead to cancellation of future schemes and all. I'm just complicating things. So this question can be a 1 on 10 difficulty as well as a 8 on 10 difficulty. Question will remain the same. It is the options which will change. So इसमें तो we eliminated 2 options. Let's say 2 introducing new welfare schemes. But what if only 1 option was eliminated? Then 4 का importance भी आ जाता. Just giving an example. ठीक है, चलो. Answer is C. आया क्या? Answer is C. ठीक है. Let us move ahead. I'll give you another minute. But all of this you have to write within 1 minute. You have to mark within 1 minute. अच्छा ये सब जाता नहीं है. 2013. Read this. 2013. Please read this. 2013. Please read this. Oh sir, क्या पूछ लिया है इन्होंने? What have they asked? Deficit financing. Try to recollect what is deficit financing. Try to recollect what is deficit financing. Unless you know what is deficit financing, this question is, so imagine you don't know what is deficit financing, this question becomes 8 on 10. If you know deficit financing, this question becomes 0 on 10 or 1 on 10. Hence the focus on concepts, hence the focus on understanding, hence the focus on getting clarity. क्या है? What is deficit financing? What do you think? In India, deficit financing is used for what? Remember, deficit financing is an act where we borrow for incurring more expenditure, and expenditure क्या होता है? It is development, for development only. It is the expenditure is incurred for vikas, yes or no? Adjusting the balance of payments, oh, reducing the foreign debt, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It is for economic development only, yes or no? Very simple, straightforward question. Deficit financing 2013 used for raising resources for economic development. ठीक है? But just for 1 second, imagine that you don't know or you don't recollect what is deficit financing. You have not revised properly. You know you have read about it, but you don't recollect. This question becomes so difficult. Why? Because see the options. Redemption of public debt, adjusting balance of payments, reducing the foreign debt. They sound plausible options. They sound reasonable options. They are not very out of the world options. Okay? So, economic development is the answer. Very important to know the concepts. 2015. Now I will give you full 2 minutes to find an answer to this question. 120 seconds le lo. More than like double the time you get in your exam, but try to find this answer. Knowing the concepts. आराम से think and tell. I will not tell you this is a difficult question or an easy question because that then influences you in an indirect manner. Aram se, I am also sitting, you also sit. This is the question I like. A decrease in tax to GDP ratio of a country indicates which of the following? Chalo, let us try to analyze this question. A decrease in tax to GDP ratio of a country indicates which of the following? So, which means ki tax upon GDP. Now, decreasing tax to GDP ratio can indicate slowing economic growth rate. Okay? Now, tell me one thing. Slowing economic growth rate. So, when we say slowing economic growth rate means what? Ki your GDP is not increasing. When your GDP is not increasing, tax collection would also be low. So, slowing economic growth rate. But I can make the opposite argument also. Ki slowing economic growth rate means GDP is not increasing. Okay? When GDP is not increasing fast, what will happen? The denominator is not increasing fast. Which means when the denominator increases fast, what will happen? The numerator might not be buoyant and the tax to GDP ratio will reduce. But they are saying कि GDP increase नहीं हो रहा है. So when GDP increase नहीं हो रहा है, that means the ratio. See, they are talking about the ratio, na? They are not talking about the tax collection and all. So which means if GDP is not increasing further or faster, the ratio might actually go up because your denominator is now not expanding. When your denominator expands, the ratio goes down. But your denominator is now not expanding, so ratio might actually remain the same or it might increase up a little bit also. Opposite, so hence by that argument one is wrong. Opposite argument is decrease in tax to GDP ratio means you are collecting less tax, means your economy is not growing because people are not earning money. So overall ratio would reduce because people are not earning money, and more and more of their money is in the basic exemption limit 2,50,000 ke niche hi hai, so their ratio is reducing. Yes or no? So the answer is both can be argued upon. Second, less equitable distribution of national income. Less equitable means unequal distribution of income, which means that there some income is concentrated, like majority of the income is concentrated in the hands of a few people, and majority of the people have less income. Okay? So now, when majority of, what do you think? Less equitable distribution of national income. Again, the argument is that when so many people are not getting any income, they will not pay tax because income is earned by only a few individuals. बराबर है? So the others will not pay tax. So overall economy mein tax collection would reduce because most of the people are not earning income because there is unequal distribution or less equitable distribution. So tax collection ज़्यादा नहीं होगा and your tax to GDP ratio would reduce. ठीक है? So that is one argument. What is the second argument? The second argument is that if only a few people are paying or only few people are having all the income of an economy, let's say only 10 people out of 100 people are having, less equitable, so only 10 people out of 100 people are having all the income of an economy, which means that they will be, those 10 individuals would be earning very high incomes, as is the case in world income. Just take the example of Bill Gates, Mukesh Ambani, they earn very high income. ठीक है? So few people earning high income. चलो ये समझ में आ गया. Few people earning high income, right? But don't you think they will be paying taxes at the highest rate? Bracket होता है ना 10%, 20%. I hope you recollect taxation 10%, 20%, 30%. So if you are one of the few who are earning the maximum income, so if income was equitably distributed, let's say सब लोग average 10% pay करते, but it is not equitably distributed. Some people are not paying tax, but the remaining who are paying tax, they are paying tax at the rate of 30%. So overall tax to GDP ratio might still increase. Samjha? I hope you are getting this. So that is why I give you 2 minutes for this question. This question is incomplete. This question is a bit vague. And you know, when before UPSC official answer key, when classes had given, different classes come out with their answer keys. Obviously, they do Google search and they verify the answers and then they give their answer key, different classes. So when before the official answer key came in, there were various answers, A, B, C, D. There were various answers to this question. When UPSC answer key came, I am going to tell what UPSC gave the main answer key. But the point to remember here is that this is that one question which you might be sure ki you have marked the right answer, but opposite argument can also be made. I told you economics mein bahut grey chalta hai. There is no black and white. It is always grey. Up to a certain extent this happens, then after that this doesn't happen. Aisa hota hai. This is that part of this is that question. Don't whack your brains behind such questions. These questions are rare. They do appear. These questions are rare. Actually, here the intention of the examiner is not clear. Ki where has he, what is he trying to check or what is he trying to show? So I'll tell you how this question must have been set. I'm just speculating. Article आया होगा on low tax to GDP ratio. An editorial must have come in the newspaper on low tax to GDP ratio. And then one of the sentence might be this, and these would be the factors given somewhere in the editorial. So he tried to, or the examiner tried to form question out of that. Now the problem is that without context we cannot guess what is the right answer here. I can make arguments for both, this also, I can make arguments for neither, this also, this also. So I can make arguments for A, for B, for both and for neither also. Okay? Because it is not proper. And you never know na ki directly pucha hai ya indirectly pucha hai. Because all these analysis which we are doing, it was direct and indirect both. So this question is a difficult question. This question, you might feel it is in the top 20 or top 40, but actually when you mark the answer and it doesn't match with the UPSC's answer key, then you lose marks. There are such questions. the proportion of such questions sadly has been increasing. Earlier it was 1 or 2 per paper, now it has gone to 6 or 7 per paper, but still that 6 or 7, bear in mind that 6 or 7 or those 6 or 7 are difficult or are vague for everyone. ऐसा नहीं है ना कि someone has inside information about this question and he'll be able to mark the exact answer what UPSC has given in the answer key. One more very important point, whenever you are referring to past year question papers, please try to refer to the actual papers. See, this is what I've taken this as screenshot of the actual paper. These are all screenshots of the actual paper. This is not typed one. Oh, screenshot leke I've just pasted it here in the PPT. Why? I'll tell you. One, some grammar mistakes can be avoided if you are referring to any classes ka given or any secondary source or any printed book. There are publications who print papers also. Rare possibility, but possibility of an option being wrong, a word being wrong, which might change the entire meaning of the question or anything. One. Second, most important, most important thing, many times the answer keys have mistakes. I'll be very honest in telling, except UPSC answer key, other answer keys cannot be relied upon with 100% accuracy. 80-90% yes, but we are not supposed to live with 80-90% accuracy. When it comes to prelims, we need answers to 100% of the questions, and those answers which UPSC thinks correct. There are questions like this, jisme there is no debate only. There are questions like this which are very straightforward. There are questions like this which can be debatable, and then finally we have to go for the verdict. We have to go to UPSC and we have to ask, my lord, what is the answer as per you? What is the thinking as per you? And UPSC has said that as per me, the answer is one only. There is no point in discussing it further because this is a vague question. Samjha, this is a very vague question. Are you getting this? Are you getting? See, the question, I am not teaching you the question ki aisa hoga, aisa hoga. I am teaching you the process of studying for prelims, the process of practicing for prelims, the process of analyzing the questions. This question might not come, might come again also. We have seen questions are repeated. The point being, don't put much efforts behind these kind of questions. These are difficult ones. These are a little bit vague. And in the exam, see, now to we are discussing aram se, we have spent what, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes behind this question. In the exam, you will have 50 seconds. Do you think you will have the time, patience to analyze with so many angles that we have thought? And even if you do, that will lead to further confusion. So you might say ki haan, ye bhi hai, you might mark both. You might say ye nahi hai, ye hai, you might mark B, you might mark D, or you might mark A also. So those of you who mark A, their score rises. Those of you who mark any other thing, their score reduces. The point is, our score should not rely on these kind of questions. Our score should rely on these kind of questions. This you should not make mistake. If you make a mistake in these kind of questions, it becomes very difficult to clear prelims because the competition is increasing. It is constantly increasing, and this is where this is a lifeline UPSC is throwing at us. Ki, take the marks, take the marks. This is where UPSC is unintentionally trapping us. It is not intentional, because intentional questions bhi pata chalte hai. In history, you see modern history questions, they are intentional traps. They know ki you will say A is the answer, but actually answer is C, and that is there. C is the answer. This is unintentional trap. UPSC might not have thought ki to make it this tricky or this vague, but there is, see, after all, humans had these questions, so this can be ignored. Okay, I hope you are getting the process. Again, I focus on the process more than the actual content. Process is more important. Next, pay attention to the screen. अगला question आपके screen के ऊपर ये रहा. Oh, answer आ गया. Oops, sorry. A है answer. And these all answers are taken from official UPSC answer keys. I never rely on any secondary sources, not any compilation, not any book. See this, 94. 94. 2017, when things started getting interesting in UPSC prelims, 2017. You know, in fact, the trend I am seeing, this is my very personal, very personal naive opinion. Mains has been becoming, the questions in mains have been becoming easier, but prelims has been becoming tougher. But again, अगर क्वेश्चन टफ है तो टफ फॉर एवरीवन, एंड इफ द क्वेश्चन इज इजी इट इज इजी फॉर एवरीवन. सो कंपटीशन इज इन योर क्या बोलते हैं, is putting more pressure on your preparation. So it is all competition. You cannot get rid of the competition. Read this. Please try to come up with an answer. Then I will tell you ki why. Stop trying to read this question. We'll come to this question. इतना आगे मत भागो. Relax. अच्छे से करेंगे. Tax revenue as a percentage of GDP. Are they talking about tax to GDP ratio? Yes, they are talking about tax to GDP ratio. Tax revenue as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased in the last decade. Fiscal deficit. See, they are talking about pre-corona. I have told you, corona has disturbed the trends because negative chala gaya tha. So many things were in negative. But tax revenue as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased in the last decade. Fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased in the last decade. Now look at these words. These words are indicator words. Tax revenue as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased. Has it steadily increased? Every year has it increasing or it reduces, increases, reduces, increases? I told you almost all trends in economics are not steadily increasing or steadily decreasing. They all go up and down. Okay? So increased might be a right word. Steadily increased might not be a right word. Steadily matlab constant pace and steady increase ho raha hai. There might be a year where there is no increase. There might be a year where there is actually decrease. There might be a year where there is a sudden increase. Ho sakta hai. So this question, this statement, steadily increased in the last decade. This statement is not right. What about the second question? What about the second question? Fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP. Fiscal deficit. एक मिनट. Fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased. Has fiscal deficit steadily increased or are we following FRBM? Remember FRBM the targets were set 3.5%, 3%. So we were before pandemic, we were trying to follow a path of fiscal consolidation. Yes or no? What is consolidation? Is you reduce your GDP every year. You reduce your fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP every year. So do you think fiscal deficit has been steadily increasing in the last decade? Decade, not last 1 or 2 years. Last decade, no. It has not been steadily increasing. In fact, it has been decreasing, and there have been last decade bola na, last 10 years. So after 2008-9, you remember fiscal deficit shot up because we went for stimulus because of great economic recession. So we went for stimulus tabhi, and then we after that we again cut back, and then we have been reducing our fiscal deficit. So this is also wrong, this is also wrong. Answer is D, neither one nor two. Okay? This was the keyword here, steady increase. Now tell me, if you don't know tax to GDP, if you don't know fiscal deficit to GDP ratio, it is very difficult question. But otherwise, once we have known all these topics, hence it is easier for us. Coming to the next question very quickly. Now read this question. Bada hai. 2018, not that old also, just 2 papers old. See, what I feel also ki old questions might be repeated. Old matlab 2013 and onwards, ki questions might be repeated. That is what my doubt is, or my suspicion is, not doubt. My suspicion is कि 2013, 12, 11 के questions they might put them back in the exam ना, कर सकते. Read it. big question. So out of that 1 second, out of that 1 minute, आधा minute तो question पढ़ने में ही चला जाएगा. It's a big question. You have to think, you have to weigh in every word which is mentioned in the question, right? So it becomes difficult to what we say, to focus on the right words, the right statements. It takes a lot of your time also. It takes a lot of your efforts also. ठीक है? Try to read. Try to find the answer. Try to guess the answer. क्या होगा answer इसका? This was also a very easy question, na? This previous 194 wala. This was a very easy question. So, let us try. We'll see the answer, but uske pehle let us try. The FRBM Review Committee report, NK Singh, we had discussed NK Singh Review Committee report. The FRBM Review Committee report has recommended a debt to GDP ratio of 60% for the general combined government by 2023, comprising 40% for the center and 20% for the state. Yes or no? Simple hai ye. Straightforward hai. We know this is right. So if one is right, B gets eliminated. Chalo, B gets eliminated. Now this is a tough question. I'll show you how. 1 भी है, 1 and 3 भी है, 1, 2 and 3 भी है. Are you getting this? More tough could have been if 1 and 2 only would have been the option. So every step which you eliminate, every step which you take, if it eliminates only one of the options, then it becomes a tough question, and it is based on the arrangement of options and not mere sentences. Chalo. Central government has domestic liabilities of 21% of GDP as compared to that of 49% of GDP of the state governments. Now, think about this. Is this logically true, or is this logically it doesn't make sense? Think about it. I'll give you a hint. The answer is given in statement 1 only. If committee report is saying कि 40% central government and 20% state government रखना है, that it should be reduced 40%. How can central government keep liabilities at 21% and state government keep liabilities at 49%? First part. Second part, we also know that external debt of India is very low. Okay, they are talking about domestic liabilities here. Okay, so external debt is very low. So central government 21% तो कैसे हो सकता है? If you are talking about reducing it to 40%, do you think 21% would be central government and 49% would be state government? So is state government expected to reduce from 49 to 20%? 50 से almost 50 से 20%, is it expected to reduce? नहीं. ठीक है? Let us put this on hold for now. We know it doesn't make sense, but we also know that we are not sure. We are 90% sure, we are not sure. Third, as per the Constitution of India, it is mandatory for state to take the central government's consent for raising any loan if the former owes any outstanding liabilities to the latter. Exactly, this is mentioned in the Constitution, and this is there in Lakshmikant also. When you cover polity, when you read center-state relations chapter, center-state है या parliament? I think center-state relations, or I think parliament, दोनों में से एक है. When you read that chapter, as per the Constitution of India, it is indeed mandatory for a state to take the central government consent for raising any loan if state government already owes any outstanding liabilities to the latter. So if state government has already taken a loan from central government, then before taking any new loan from taking any other loan by the state government, it has to ask permission for the central government because money is already owed to central government. ठीक है? So this is true. So 1 and 3 is right. Now you eliminate this. So now 1 and 3 or 1, 2 and 3, both are there. So now imagine if by saying 1 and 3, if this was not an option, 1, 2 and 3 was not an option, 1 and 2 was the option. Let's say for example, this would have been easy because 1 and 3 only से answer आ जाता था. But since they are forcing us to look at 2 also, because so now 2 पे like I told you कि 20 ये उल्टा हो सकता है. This ratio is inverted. Central government has domestic liabilities of 49% as compared to 21% of state governments. ठीक है? So 20% तक लेके आना है, and so this is ulta, central government and state governments. I hope you realize this. I hope you know this very well. Now this is dependent on this. If you don't know this, this is wrong, and this is very static in Lakshmikant. So you know this, and this से इसके ऊपर से you derived second one, and you arrived at the answer कि second statement is absolutely false. You arrived at the answer C. Answer is C. Tough question, not an easy question, but easy, or it will become manageable only when you know this very good, only when you revise Lakshmikant very well. And this is not एकदम ऐसा prominent or mainstream statement like fundamental rights or DPSP, ऐसा एकदम mainstream नहीं है. This is given in the chapter, no doubt, but our mind might not recollect this or take cognizance of this when we are in the exam. ठीक है? So revision से third statement आता है. Second statement obviously, and this was fairly current 2 years ago. NK Singh Review Committee had given the recommendation in 2017. That is why this question has come. So this is revision based. This is current affairs, and this is logic or derivation from current affairs. वहाँ से derive हुआ है. Is this okay? I am showing you the approach. I am not here to tell you इसका answer A है, इसका answer D है, इसका answer C है. I am telling you the approach कि this is what happens in the actual exam. This is how you think in the actual exam. Right? We'll move ahead. कहाँ गया? D and C. चल. Next. This question should not come here. This is a planning question, but since it is so basic, I have kept it here. Not wasting any time. 2015 में आया था. The government of India has established the Niti Aayog to replace the Planning Commission. ठीक है? It is Planning Commission. This happened in 2014 when the new government brought in. Niti Aayog was established with effect from 2014. Planning Commission was decommissioned, and it appeared in 2015. And it is so easy question कि if anybody makes a mistake in this, he will regret it for the rest of his life in UPSC exam. ये mistake कर दिया. See, if you don't know, then it is very bad. It is very bad if you don't know this, because ये तो main है. Not now. I'm not talking about now if you don't know. When you are giving the exam in 2015, if you don't know this, because this was the most important current affairs of entire 14-15 cycle. And if you don't, and so see how simple, they have not asked Niti Aayog, how will it differ from Planning Commission, what will be the composition of Niti Aayog, and what will Planning Commission do now, कौन होगा chairperson of Niti Aayog, nothing they have asked. They have asked क्या replacement है. This is when UPSC comes in a donation centric mode. Donation दे रहा है, ले लो, just take it, enjoy. ठीक है? NHRC, Human Rights Commission, Finance Commission, Law Commission, Planning Commission. Now I'll tell you a very, very important trick. Have we seen? हाँ, ठीक है. Very, very important trick. You know it is Planning Commission which is decommissioned and Niti Aayog has been replaced. Right? This is how you prepare. Prepare Niti Aayog. Not more. Just read about Niti Aayog. Prepare about Human Rights Commission. Prepare about Finance Commission. Prepare about Law Commission. And this all goes in polity. And this all goes in polity. Finance Commission article देख लो. Article 280. Human Rights Commission NHRC Act 93. Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. Amended in 2006. Law Commission by an executive order. ठीक है? Macaulay was the first Law Commission chairman. History. All this is interconnected. Read about Law Commission, read about Finance Commission, read about Human Rights Commission, read about Niti Aayog. This is how you prepare. And this is the trick which you do in art and culture. I mean, I can show you n number of examples in art and culture where they have asked about Jainism and options दिए थे which were wrong कि ये Jainism में है, ये Jainism में नहीं है, and this all. I prepared all those wrong options also कि what are they exactly. I didn't see them beforehand. And in the very next exam, they asked about those options in the question. वो Buddhism पे थे. So in the earlier exam, option C was wrong because it was part of Buddhism and not Jainism. But that option C was made into a question in the very next year and asked. And then मैं आँख बंद करके I marked Buddhism because I knew it. This is how past papers are to be analyzed. This is how analysis is to be done. You and UPSC are alone in this battle. There is nobody. Even I am not here. We are all giving our experiences. Some are good, some are bad, some might suit you, some might not suit you. Nobody intends to give you wrong advice. सबका advice सही है, but सबका advice अलग भी होता है. Diametrically opposite also advice is given. Analyze these or read about them, and that's how you move forward. Do this for all subjects. Do this for all questions, environment questions, economic questions, history questions, geography questions. So in geography, suppose if they ask a mapping question, कि ये lake, where is this lake, or who are the surrounding, what are the surrounding countries, etc., etc. So other options which are wrong, try to think about them also, कि where are these places, or whether any lake is surrounding this country, which is wrong in this question, but tomorrow it might appear as a question. That is how you expand your knowledge. That is how you expand your studying. ठीक है? The key word here is without any doubt. Necessarily, no doubt, no exception, nothing. Necessarily. Think about it. 2013 question. See, for this you should be here. For this specifically for this you should be here. Because now I might say, let's say answer is B. Suppose answer is B, population growth. Suppose you might say, sir, why not C, why not D, why not A? And that is when we have fruitful discussions. For past year questions, you should be here. But again, unfortunately, कुछ नहीं कर सकते. We cannot do anything. Maybe next year students would be fortunate to be here. Or you don't know, third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave, sixth wave, seventh wave. Nobody knows. Economic growth in country X will necessarily occur. See, there are 2 points to this, or 2 things we have to know in this. One is कि country X के बारे में पूछा है, not world economic growth. They are not talking about world economic growth. Economic growth in country X will necessarily have to occur if growth पूछा है. So let us try. There is technological progress in the world economy. If there is a technological progress in the world economy, do you think economic growth will necessarily occur in country X? No, of course not. वो world economy में तो technological progress has been there since the invention of steam and industrial revolution and everything. But is every country growing very well? No, not growing. So it's a stupid option. There is a population growth in X. Economic growth might happen if there is a population growth in X, but the keyword is might. You never know. India, China have a lot of population growth, but that also puts a strain on resources. Yes, it gives you human resources, it gives you a lot of dividend, demographic dividend, it gives you a lot of human resources, skills and everything. But might be, might not be. Okay? The volume of trade grows in the world economy. Volume of trade grows in the world economy. So world economy में 2.4% trade हो रहा है today and tomorrow it is 3%. तो ठीक है. Volume of trade growing in the world economy से हमारा क्या लेना देना? World economy बोला है. So today if USA and UK start trading more goods, would it result in an increasing economic growth in India? No, it will not. Stupid. There is capital formation in country X. See, this is where X lies, na? X पूछा है. So X में क्या हो रहा है? That is more relevant. Capital formation. I hope you know what is capital formation. I. Capital formation is capital goods. ठीक है? Investment in capital goods, capital formation. So when investment happens, what happens? You produce more, you supply more, you employ more, and economic growth necessarily occurs. They are not talking about development. Always keep in mind, this is growth they are talking about. Development means quality of life. ठीक है, might not be की quality of life. Today if Reliance is producing 2000 Jio phones, tomorrow if it produces 20,000, might not be ki poor people would have a higher quality of life, not necessarily, but growth, definitely growth will happen. Why? Because this will result in more production, ठीक है, more production is more GDP, बराबर, more GDP is economic growth. Economic growth is measured in terms of GDP, yes or no? So necessarily occur if there is a capital formation index. Very simple, very easy question, ठीक है. Let us move ahead. इसका D है, इसका C है. See this 2015 question, 2015 question, see this 2015 question. Now, we have not done, before you read this question, this was with respect to 14th Finance Commission. This had arrived in 2015 because the recommendations were made in 2014 for 15 to 20. Recommendations are made in 2020 for 21 to 26. We are going to see 15th Finance Commission recommendation. We are going to see what is Finance Commission and what is 15th Finance Commission के recommendations. ठीक है? We are going to see that. Now, forget about the question because this is not relevant now. See what is asked, so that when we read about 15th Finance Commission, you will know what is asked. Are you getting me? ठीक है? It has increased the share of states in the central divisible pool from 32% to 42%. Do you remember in taxation chapter we spoke about alternate scheme of devolution, that some shares of central taxes are devolved to the state. So central pool जो है, central divisible pool. So 14th Finance Commission has recommended increase in share from 32% to 42%. And second, it has made recommendations concerning sector specific grants. What is sector specific grants? कि central government should give health sector में इतना 4% grant should be given, education में इतना should be given. So they are asking about recommendations. So are you agreeing with me that they are asking ki what are the main recommendations? So this is one of the main recommendations. Is this one of the main recommendations? They are asking you which of the following are correct. ठीक है? When we read 15th Finance Commission, we will also look at the recommendations. When we will see 15th Finance Commission, we will also look at ki in what ways they have been recommending this, in what ways they have been devolving the state. So let us ignore this for now. We will do 15th Finance Commission. Quickly come to the next question. But here see this is how again we squeeze something out of nothing, because we needed to analyze what was asked. And since I expect a question on 15th Finance Commission in 2021 paper, because वो recently आया है. If it is not there in 2021 paper, then there is a chance that it will appear in 2022 paper. ठीक है? So please keep an eye on 15th Finance Commission and related news. Now 2019 questions. We are coming closer now. 2019 questions. Read. Think and try to guess the answer. If you already know the answer, if you have seen the answer, then ठीक है. But then the process is more important here. सोचो, think. Most of India's external debt is owed by governmental entities. Most of India's external debt is owed by governmental entities. Do you know we did something on external debt? We have an entire lecture on external debt. Do you know that I told you the majority of the external debt is external commercial borrowings? I hope you remember it is external commercial borrowings. Major commercial borrowings है, commercial है, it is by corporations, government or public, but it is not by government per se. ठीक है, it is by external commercial borrowings है, commercial borrowings है ये, right? So it cannot be owed by, or most cannot be owed by governmental entities. We had discussed this, right? Ki majority is owned by external commercial borrowings, and India's governmental debt is also very less. Governmental external debt is also very less. Secondly, all of India's external debt is denominated in US dollars. Now the key word here is all. This is an extreme word. This is an extreme word. Whenever you see an extreme word, a flag should rise. I am not saying कि always extreme words are wrong, but a flag should rise कि extreme है. See, economics and environment and all these subjects are very grey. Extreme words have no place in them. It will always happen. It will happen drastically. It will, it will fall drastically, or growth will fall drastically, or growth will absolutely grow beyond limits. ऐसे सब words should raise a red flag कि these might not be true. There have been 2 instances in the past 8 years where these extreme sentences have been true, or the statement was right. Having the extreme word in that sentence, the statement was right. There have been instances, there is no doubt about it. There have been instances. ठीक है? So this is a red flag. All कैसे हो सकता है? Even if you don't know this, let's say you don't know, you don't have any idea about it, statistically you should not mark this as right. Statistically, if you don't know anything, but we know it. All of India's external debt is denominated in US dollars. Not all. Most, yes. Remember I told you, most is denominated in US dollars. Not all. We have other currencies also. We have taken borrowings or debt from other currencies also, in other currencies also. So all of India's external debt is denominated in US dollars. No. So this is wrong. This is wrong. Answer is D. 2019 question, people, not that old also, and even old ho, new ho, it is equally relevant for our current exams, and you are going to give next year in 2022. ठीक है, extreme word है ये all नहीं होता है कभी भी. We'll see more examples of extreme words also. वो भी हो जाएगा, वो भी कर लेंगे हम. Are you getting this? I hope you are understanding this. I hope you are with me. I hope you are enjoying this. These are some indicators which question itself gives ki I am not the right, or this statement is not right. Now this you will not find in, or you might not find it in other questions, other private institutions questions, other second hand questions, other reference book questions, everything. This is UPSC, these are UPSC questions. So try to have a grip on them first, and then you have to practice the other questions. You have to practice, there is no doubt, but not without going through this, not without going through these questions. ठीक है, चलो next आगे बढ़े. इसका आंसर A है, ठीक है. इसका आंसर D है. Next, this 2020 latest question. Very easy. 2020, very easy. I hope you remember this. We have discussed 4 statements: medium-term expenditure framework, fiscal policy strategy statement, macroeconomic framework statement. It is presented because this is mandated by what? Long-standing parliamentary convention? No. Article 112 and 110(1) of the Constitution of India? No. 113 of, this is annual financial statement. This is. (113) no. Provisions of FRBM Act? Yes. When this was amended in 2012, FRBM Act was amended in 2012, तभी this statement was added, macroeconomic framework statement. The other 3 were already there: fiscal policy strategy statement, medium term expenditure framework statement, all of that were there. But this was added in 2012 amendment, but it is mandated by the FRBM, or Fiscal Responsibility and Budgetary Management Act 2003. So this is the answer. There is no analysis required here. There is no factual information. You should be aware. But the thing is, if you don't know, or if you haven't heard about it, then you will be confused between B and D. 100% you will be confused. Right? We move on to here. Now, I have not taught you this concept because I normally teach this in my ending lectures because these are small concepts. I'll teach it here only since यहाँ पे जगह है, so I'll teach it here only. But I want you to, let's say, assume that you haven't heard about this, you don't know anything about this, then try to attempt this question. I'll give you 2 minutes, but try to attempt this question despite not knowing anything. Try to apply your logic, try to play on the words and everything, but try to find out the answer to this. If you are able to find out the answer using the right logic, not using the wrong logic, using the right logic, then means that you are really grasping economics very well. Okay, just try, brainstorm karo. There will be a lot of questions which you haven't heard about them in the exams. So get comfortable with unfamiliar territory. Again, I am repeating, this is not your school or college education. Book पढ़ के, revise करके, there is no guarantee that you will be able to answer all the questions. There will be questions which are unknown, there will be questions which are not familiar, which are not seen by you, which are not heard by you, which you haven't thought about them. How to tackle them, that is the challenge. It is like cricket. No matter how much you do practice different types of delivery, swing delivery, spin delivery, yorker, bouncer, anything. Okay, but ultimately every ball is going to be different. Yes or no? When you play in a match, every ball is going to be different. You have to, within a split second, decide what shot you have to put, what shot you have to play. Square cut marna hai, lofted shot marna hai, what all shot you have to play. You have to decide it in a split second. Same is with this. Now imagine if you don't know anything else about this, how would you, or try to arrive at the answer. That is what my request is. I always make my students very uncomfortable or face them uncomfortable questions. Reason being, that is the only way to survive. Please, I request every one of you looking at this video to try to come out of your shell of education. We have been taught a very streamlined, unidirectional method of studying. Read, revise, understand, and वही पूछेंगे एग्जाम में, and that you have to answer. This is not the case here. Read it. Try to think, despite being a high saving economy, capital formation may not result in significant increase in output due to what? High saving economy, capital formation may not result in significant increase in output. Now remember, we have discussed about capital formation, we have discussed about investment. We have said that I will generate more employment, I will generate more production, I will result in growth. Now they are saying that this might not happen. When? When will I not result in more growth? When will I not result in significant increase in output or more production? When? Weak administrative machinery. If your administrative machinery is weak, if your governance structure is weak, might be, might not be, not direct correlation. Yes or no? Illiteracy. Illiteracy से production पे नहीं फर्क पड़ता है because there are lot of big business houses whose founders, whose managers, or they are engaged in more physical production. So if they make shoes, they will employ literate people, no doubt, but they are themselves not that literate. Many Facebook and all, many founders are college dropouts, not that literate also. Illiteracy hai, you are not able to read and write, but if you are able to produce good quality shirts, good quality, or if you are able to stitch, tailor hai, so not necessarily. So again, not very weak correlation, very weak correlation. High population density, no correlation at all. ठीक है, no correlation, because if you invest in something वो production निकलना चाहिए बाहर. Population, even if it is 1 or even if it is 1000, if you are putting in that much of money, your production should come out of the machine उतने amount का. Not at all. Now what is this? So if you guess D, your answer is right, definitely right. Now what is the logic behind this? High capital output ratio. What do you mean by capital output ratio? Okay. Now again, before 2018, this concept was not there in books. One or two books might have, big bulky books might have, but was not there in UPSC books. When UPSC asked this question in 2018, now this concept is there in all the books. Simple. But the people who solved this question in 2018, who got it right, were able to use logic and basic understanding without knowing the concept per se. See, high capital output ratio. Capital output ratio matlab kya? Who will be the numerator? Capital. Capital means what? Money, you can say money, or inputs, output, ratio. What does a high ratio indicate? What does a high ratio indicate? So let's say ratio, if you put in 50 rupees, to get an output of 2 units, output hai na? If you are making 2 trousers, let's say 2 trousers, if you put in 50 rupees, investment 50 ka kiya, 2 pant banane ke liye. For making 2 pants, you are investing 50 rupees and 2 trousers. Then you, let's say, you buy a machinery worth 500 rupees. You buy a machinery worth 500 rupees and it makes 500 trousers. Okay? It makes 500 trousers. What is the ratio here? 25. What is the ratio here? 1. Which is better? 1. Why? Because you are putting in more but getting only less. High capital output ratio. So, ये word English में ही लिखा है. I always tell you to focus on English. English में ही लिखा है. What is the reason behind it? ठीक है, it is so simple. Very, very, very simple है. Investment, it is like you studying. How many hours are you putting in? How much output are you getting? If it is a high ratio, high capital output ratio, if high amount of if you're studying for 10 hours and if you're able to complete only 1 chapter and tomorrow you were able to sit for only 2 hours but you completed 2 chapters, which is better? You only tell. Simple. High capital output ratio might result in capital formation not being contributing to significant increase in output. Samjha? So India suffers from high capital output ratio. One of the reasons for high capital output ratio is inefficient machinery, highly depreciated machinery. I hope you are able to get it now. Highly depreciated machinery kya hota hai? Now this is also called as, this capital output ratio is also called as, I would write it here, ये क्या है? I think it just restarted. Incremental capital output ratio. Incremental capital output ratio. अच्छा वो बंद हो गया. ICOR भी बोलते हैं उसको, इंक्रीमेंटल कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो. The higher, the worse. Lower, better. Okay, incremental capital output ratio. I hope you are able to get this incremental capital output ratio. How much are you putting in and how much are you getting out of the resources which you have invested, which you have put in? Simple hai. You watch the lectures for 4 hours, but if you are not able to recollect anything, then high capital output ratio hai. Capital high hai, you are putting in 4 hours, but output low hai. Sometimes even 1 hour of lecture will help you revise so many things. So low capital output ratio, which is better. Okay? Please write this in your note: capital output ratio, capital upon output, incremental capital output ratio, ICOR. It is also called as ICOR, incremental capital output ratio. Right? Next. We'll move on to the next question. इसका D है, इसका भी D है. Next, we go to monetary policy and banking. Lot of questions asked from monetary policy and banking. So far in fiscal policy, jitne questions we have seen, apart from the tax to GDP ratio, none of the other question was debatable. None of the other question was very difficult. वो FRBM वाला was a little bit trickier, but still very difficult नहीं था. Even capital output ratio was also very simple to understand, even if you don't know or haven't read about capital output ratio. Is it true? Is it right? Yes or no? Very good. ठीक है, चलो next. Look at this 2015 question, 2015 question. Look at this 2015 question. With reference to the Indian economy, consider the following. Which of the above are the component or components of monetary policy? क्या है भैया आंसर बताओ? Tell me the answer very quickly. Tell me the answer. What is the answer? What do you think is the answer? With reference to the Indian economy, consider the following: bank rate, open market operations, public debt, public revenue. We know that bank rate is a part of monetary policy, OMO is a part of monetary policy, this is a part of fiscal policy. Public debt and public revenue, is it not a part of fiscal policy? It's a part of fiscal policy. So 3 and 4 galat ho gaye, 3 and 4 are eliminated. Only A and C remain. 1 by default becomes correct. Bank rate, OMO, of course, OMO is a part of monetary policy. OMO is definitely a part of monetary policy. So you go to 1 and 2 as your answer. So answer is C, 1 and 2. Very easy, very simple, very straightforward. Let us move on to the next question. What is the next question? Which of the following is not included in the assets of a commercial bank in India? Not included in the assets. Not included in the assets. Think. Sir, we don't know what is money at call and short notice. Even if you don't know, you are able to answer. Even if you don't know D. Chalo, forget that you know D. What do you think is A? क्या लगता है? What is A? Is A an asset or a liability? Asset. What do you think is B? Asset or a liability? Liability. C, asset. D, we don't know. But B is a liability. Deposit is a liability. Yes or no? Deposit is a liability. I hope you remember assets, liabilities, deposits. We get liability. Banks have liabilities as deposits. Assets to loans and advances होते हैं. Very good. Very easy question so far. Let us move ahead. 19 question 2019. 2013. Let us go back 2013. 2013. The Reserve Bank of India regulates the commercial banks in matters of liquidity of assets. Yes. Liquidity of assets. Yes. Remember CRR, SLR. Branch expansion, definitely. Merger of banks, yes. Winding up of banks, yes. The answer is D, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of the above. Simple question hai. D, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the answer. Reserve Bank of India regulates commercial banks in all these aspects. ठीक है? Next, in the context of Indian economy, open market operations refers to what? Come on, what are they asking? See this. हद होती है. Borrowing by scheduled banks from the RBI? No. Lending by commercial banks to industry and trade? No. Purchase and sale of government securities by the RBI? Yes. Yes. ठीक है? इसका answer is C, very straightforward. इसका answer is D, again very straightforward. Might be confusing, but you can say कि RBI is the mother and father and every grandfather, grandmother of banks. So you can say D, all of the above. ये गलत हो भी जाता है, तो भी it should be on some logical basis. You have to eliminate one of them. If you are thinking of eliminating one of them on some logical basis, arbitrary basis पे you should not eliminate. Some logical basis you should eliminate. The answer would be wrong, but still you will get an experience of these kind of questions, you know, when you practice. 75C, very easy, no need to go into depth also. ठीक है? Next. 2014. You don't know what is venture capital. What do you think is venture capital? You don't know. Chalo, what is venture capital? You don't know. But you see that there is a very simple question in 2014. Simple matlab, there are no confusing options 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 3 and 4, etc. So you have to attempt this. Try to attempt. Sorry. Try karo. Try to attempt this. A short-term capital provided to industries might be, long-term startup capital provided to new entrepreneurs might be, funds provided to industries at times of recurring losses, no, not at all. Funds provided for replacement and renovation of industries, no, not at all. So we are confused between these two. What is the more appropriate answer here? See, here there is startup capital, here there is new entrepreneurs here. So venture capital is nothing but the companies which give funds to emerging startups. जो भी startups आ रहे हैं, they give funds to them. In return, they get ownership share. In return, they get some powers over that startup, some marketing powers, some directional powers, strategic powers, etc. And then when the startup fully flourishes, जब बहुत हो जाता है अच्छा, the valuation is very high. The venture capitalists then sell their stake to the new investors, whoever is coming in, new shareholders, and then they get a profit. Because when the startup is very small, there is no value in the startup. So you might get an ownership share for 10 rupees. But when the startup becomes big, when it becomes famous, the price goes to, let's say, 500 rupees. So then you sell it at 500 rupees and then you move out. The startup founders are different. The venture capital providers are different. Venture capital are financiers. They provide finance. Okay? They give finance. They are financiers. So long-term startup capital provided to new entrepreneurs and short-term capital provided to industries. This might be confusing, but more apt is this. It is a long term and this is industries बोला है ना, industries नहीं आएगा. This is working capital. This is working capital. इसको working capital बोलते हैं. Short term capital provided to industries by banks. By banks is working capital. Long term startup capital provided to new entrepreneurs is venture capital, and the providers of this are called as venture capitalists. Venture or venture capital firms. Venture capitalists और वेंचर कैपिटल फर्म्स. ठीक है, जस्ट ट्रिविया. If you did not know the answer to this and still guessed it, it is B. Some logic or something. Very good. ठीक है, we are going to cover venture capital in a markets chapter. That is why अभी तक हुआ नहीं है, but वो banking के साथ ही आता है. That is why I have included it here. Okay. चलो 2014. See this question. See, देखो इसको अच्छे से देखो and tell me what is this. What is the meaning of this question? The terms marginal standing facility, net demand and time liability, sometimes appearing in news, are used in relation to what? Look at the stupidity of the options. They could have made this a difficult question by giving some very banking related options. Banking, communication, military, supply and demand of agricultural products. It is banking operations. Answer is A. Let us move on without wasting further time. Easy question. See this 2015 question. Read it. What is the right answer? Guess it. Again, it's a very straightforward question. Easy है. Basel III Accord improve banking sector's ability to deal with financial and economic stress and improve risk management. बहुत easy है यार ये तो. This is very easy. Next. See this. Hence I told you, concepts. गलती से भी if you have not heard about them or if you don't know what are they, if you don't have an understanding about these concepts, then these questions become very difficult. अभी Basel III नहीं पता होगा तो क्या? All these options are very well drafted options. Develop national strategies for biological diversity, greenhouse gas, chlorofluorocarbons. And see how smart they are. Just pay attention for 1 minute here. See how smart they are. These three options are related to environment. And this is the only option related to economics. So someone logically might think that since three options are given with relation to environment, then there is a possibility that environment related something hoga, this Basel III Accord. Because normally accords happen in environmental this thing only, in environment regime or in environment areas. Normally usme hota hai, but answer is economics. So the first option to get eliminated by most of the students who don't know Basel III is B. And then they will put so much of time and effort in thinking A, C, D hai, kya hai, something I have read, oh, it is greenhouse, or might be CFC, chlorofluorocarbons, or HFC, etc., etc. And trust me when I say this, these were all in news. It is so difficult question if you don't know this. These were all in news. So aisa bhi nahi ki, oh, I have not heard about this. Something or the other people hear about these things. But you should know Basel III is related to banking and banking only. Read that question 43. What is or what are the purposes of the MCLR announced by RBI? What is the purpose of MCLR? These guidelines help improve the transparency in the methodology followed by the banks for determining interest rates on advances. Yes, remember transmission अच्छे से होना चाहिए. The calculation should be correct. Weighted average नहीं होना चाहिए. Marginal cost का marginal cost होना चाहिए. Average cost नहीं होना चाहिए. These guidelines help ensure availability of bank credit at interest rates which are fair to the borrowers as well as to bank. Absolutely yes. Yes or no? We are trying to find a transparent mechanism of pricing the loans. Yes or no? Yes. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. Easy question C. Easy hai. 2013. See why 2019-20 questions are not coming much is because वहाँ पे economy questions are little bit less and they have come from unconventional topics, so not from monetary or fiscal. But see the past year 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 trend. They are all coming from these chapters only. Chalo, 2013, an increase in the bank rate generally indicates that what? Simple. Bank rate, we are talking about bank rate. I told you bank rate is now discontinued, but that doesn't mean that it is, as a concept, you should not be aware about it. An increase in the bank rate generally indicates what? Increase in the bank rate. We want to reduce money supply or increase money supply? We want to reduce money supply. Bank rate increase हो रहा है. Bank rate is the rate at which central bank gives to commercial banks on a long-term basis. RBI wants to increase the bank rate. RBI wants to make money dearer in the economy. RBI is following an tight money policy. Dear money policy, tight money policy, contractionary monetary policy. RBI is following. Yes or no? Simple question. 2014. If interest rate is decreased in an economy, it will what? See the way questions are being repeated in the exams. Please pay attention to this fact. Are you getting it? I hope you are getting it. If the interest rate is decreased in an economy, it will what? This is the fake Russian accent, by the way. It will do what? Interest rate is decreased in an economy. Decrease the consumption expenditure, increase the tax collection. टैक्स कलेक्शन की तो बात ही नहीं आती है बिकॉज इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. इंटरेस्ट रेट है. इंक्रीज द इन्वेस्टमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर इन द इकोनॉमी, इंक्रीज द टोटल सेविंग्स इन द इकोनॉमी. सी व्हेन इंटरेस्ट रेट इज डिक्रीज इन द इकोनॉमी, लोन वुड बी इजीली अवेलेबल और difficult, there will be difficulty. Loan would be easily available. When loan would be easily available, what would the people who are borrowing do? They will borrow less or borrow more? They will borrow more. When they will borrow more, what they will do? They will keep the money hidden in their home or they will invest? They will invest. When they will invest, what will happen? Increase the investment expenditure. Now they can consume also. Remember, they can consume also. C भी हो सकता है, I भी हो सकता है. But ये देखो ना, they have given options very sensibly. Decrease नहीं होगा. हाँ, अगर ये increase देते, then there would have been a very definitively confusion between A and C. ये तो है ही नहीं. ठीक है? Do you agree with this? Decrease दिया है, so this becomes very, very, very easy. Increase in investment expenditure. Why? Following a expansionary monetary policy, cheap money policy. So here they are asked about tight money policy and here they are asking about क्या बोलते हैं उसको, easy money policy, easy और cheap money policy. समझा क्या? ठीक है? Okay. See this 2015 again. So many questions from RBI and banking in 2015. Just imagine you are giving an exam and imagine if that gets repeated in 2022. You will start dancing in the paper, right? When the RBI reduces SLR by 50 basis points. So they targeted bank rate. 14 में they targeted interest rate. Now they are targeting SLR. CRR भी पूछ ही लेंगे अभी, right? है क्या CRR? नहीं. CRR is not there yet. CRR is not there. ठीक है? When the RBI reduces SLR by 50 basis points, which of the following is likely to happen? SLR is reducing by 50 basis. I hope you know what is basis points. 50 basis points is half percentage, 0.5%. 100 basis points makes 1%. We have discussed this. India's GDP growth rate increases. वो तो छोड़ दो, growth rate increases छोड़ दो. इसका क्या मतलब है? ड्रास्टिकली क्या होता है, अगर ड्रास्टिकली ग्रोथ रेट इंक्रीज हो रहा होता देन वी वुड हैव रिड्यूस्ड द एसएलआर बाय 100 basis points, why 50 basis points ड्रास्टिकली. अच्छा ड्रास्टिकली वर्ड नहीं होता तो क्या होता, इंडिया जीडीपी ग्रोथ रेट इंक्रीजेस, माइट बी माइट नॉट बी, might not be depending on so SLR is reduced, which means banks are able to give more or give less, give more. When banks are able to give loans more, borrowers are able to borrow more. Now depending on what they are doing with the borrowing, either growth will happen or some consumption will happen. Either ways some growth will definitively happen, but drastically nahi hoga. Foreign institutional investors, FII, I hope you know FII now, may bring more capital into our country. Yeah, they are more concerned with the interest rate, yes or no, how much rate they are getting. They are not concerned with SLR and all of that. Chhod do. Scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rate. Scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rate. Yes, possible, because SLR, they don't have to maintain SLR, which means more funds are free now. So if more supply is available, they might cut their lending rates. Yes or no? It may what? It may what? Liquidity reduce कैसे होगा? SLR is reducing. पहली बात तो drastically तो कुछ नहीं होगा. Nothing will happen drastically. But secondly, when you are reducing SLR, more funds are available with the bank so that they can lend out more. So it will not reduce also. It will not reduce also the liquidity. It will increase the liquidity to the banking system. It will increase the liquidity. But again, increase भी might not be drastic. Drastically तो है ही नहीं. Reduce भी नहीं होगा. So this is also wrong on various counts. This is wrong on one count, because FII may bring more capital if interest rate is increased. Reduced तो है ही नहीं. वो भी reduced is also not there. If interest rate is increased, then FII might bring more capital into our country. ठीक है? If USA increases its interest rate, then FII might take more capital out of the country. If USA reduces its interest rate, then FII will again bring more capital in the country. I hope you know this. I hope you are able to recollect all this. B gone, A, D gone. Answer is C. Very good. May है ना? See the word they are using. May. हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता है. Let's say if a bank is already earning good profits, then it might not. It will give the extra liquidity also at the high rate of interest only. It might not cut their lending rate or might not cut their interest rate. ठीक है, simple question, but look at the way they are testing your concepts. Just don't blindly go to the answer and mark the answer. Here we are doing analysis. We are not solving the papers here. We are doing analysis. So look at the way they are asking questions. They are asking conceptual questions. This is what concept is. If you don't know SLR ka impact, what happens if SLR is reduced? If you don't know what will happen to banks, if you don't know what will happen to borrowers, if you don't know what will happen to investment expenditure, if you don't know whether it will result in increased capital output or no, ultimately how will growth result? कैसे समझेगा ये? Right? So see, 2016 monetary policy becomes effective. We discussed this. 2017 question on monetary policy. Very, very current, very straightforward, direct question है ये. Which of the following statements are correct regarding to the monetary policy committee or regarding the monetary policy committee? Read it. And exam में क्या होता है ना? I'll tell you very honestly. In the exam, you are not as confident as you are now. Keep this in mind. In the actual exam, there is a lot of nervousness, there is a lot of anxiety, lot of uncertainty. Ki, you know, you have made all these efforts, you have studied for the entire year, and now what will happen? What if tough question comes? And pay attention here, pay attention. We'll come to this. And if you open the set, whatever set is given A, B, C, D, if you open the paper and if tough questions are in the first half of your question paper, like those last 20, if they come in the starting of your question paper, your confidence will shake immediately. Your confidence will go down, it will dwindle down immediately. वो नहीं होने देना, and that is a challenge. I always tell this is an exam of temperament. Do you understand what is temperament? Your mental temper, your mental calmness, how calm you are, how steady you are. Let's say you get easy questions like this in the first half. It should not mean that you should be overjoyous or very happy, Are you know everything. There might be difficult questions hiding in the second half of the paper or last 2-3 pages of the paper, 10 questions, 20 questions, difficult questions. There is a possibility. Throughout the paper, from question number 1 to question number 100, you should be level-headed. You should be level-headed. Same. नहीं आता है, fine, move ahead. आता है, mark the correct one, fine, move ahead. Level-headed. You know, it is like playing poker. Poker जब हम खेलते हैं, when we play poker, we try to maintain calm. Because if we get good cards in our hands, and if we try to show it, or even if we try to suppress it, then also other people pick up on that, and then they will not bet against you. ठीक है? But and if you get bad cards, and if you say कि oh I've got bad cards, if you show it on your face, एक तो internally तो you are definitely showing it to yourself. Same goes here. Be very calm. Tough question, fine. I don't know. I will attempt. I will take a guess. नहीं आ रहा है, then also leave it. Go to the next one. Very easy question. Planning commission. Yes, mark the planning commission. Move on to the next one. For 120 minutes, can you do this? That is the question. For 120 minutes, you have to be in a very meditative, focused, attentive state. Once that 120 minutes get over, you cry, you laugh, you jump. Once you submit the paper, you dance, you do anything. Nobody is going to tell anything. It will not affect your performance. But if this all jumping, dancing, crying, sad, all these emotions, if they run through you during those 120 minutes, trust me when I say this, you will make mistakes in easy questions also. I have done that. Luckily, it has not costed me an attempt, but I have done that. I have marked the wrong answers despite knowing the right answers, just because I was upset that I did not know previous 2-3 questions and I was panicked. I have done all of that. So many mistakes I have done. That is why I am standing here and I am in a position to tell you ki do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Okay? Because I have made those mistakes myself, because I have achieved that success myself, because I followed the strategies, that is why I am here. Okay? So please, if you find easy questions like this, please do not be overjoyous or over happy. If you find difficult questions in environment, especially in environment, history, art and culture, please do not get disheartened. They are difficult for everyone who have studied. Out of 5,50,000 के लिए वो difficult है. Your competition is with 50,000. It is not with 5 lakh people. ठीक है? Please keep all these things in mind. Coming back to the question, which of the following statements are correct regarding the Monetary Policy Committee? It decides the RBI's benchmark rate. Absolutely it does. RBI's policy rate, benchmark rate is the policy rate. Which is the policy rate? Repo rate is the policy rate. Yes or no? It has a 12-member body. Oh, sir, 12 member तो नहीं पढ़ा हमने. We have learned that it is a 6-member body, 3 and 3. Yes or no? So ये गलत हो गया. Right? It functions under the chairmanship of Union Finance Minister. Sir, ये भी गलत है because it functions under the Ministry of RBI Governor. Under the chairmanship of RBI Governor. So ये गलत है. 2 and 3 gone. 2 gone, 2 gone, 3 gone. Answer 1 only. Simple question. And more than that, it was current. तभी ऐसा भी नहीं कि we are studying it now, old है and then पूछा है. ठीक है? Answer is A1 only. इसका C है, इसका A है. Next. See this 2020 latest. Do you think easy questions खत्म हो गए in 14, 15, 16, 17? See latest. See the latest question. 2020 latest question. If the RBI decides to adopt an expansionist monetary policy, sir, words which we have studied, very good. Expansionist monetary policy, which of the following it would not do? मतलब क्या? Contractionary करना है उसको. Either way, you don't have to get confused in this. Not पूछा है, not. Please do not get confused in this. This is one of the leading reasons for wrong answers. sorry, not पूछते हैं, one of the very leading this thing. Not do, if the RBI decides to adopt an expansionist monetary policy, which of the following would it not do? Not do. क्या नहीं करेगा वो expansionist monetary policy के लिए? Would it cut and optimize the SLR for following an expansionist monetary policy? Would it increase the marginal standing facility rate? Would it cut the bank rate and repo rate? See, the entire point of this question is to confuse you with not do. So, one, you need to know what is expansionist monetary policy. Second, you need to know what is SLR. Third, you need to know what is MSF. Fourth, you need to know what is bank rate. Fifth, repo rate. Sixth, you need to know what is the effect of cutting, increasing, cutting. ठीक है? 6 concepts are being tested here. None of the factual matter is being tested. कुछ याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. We haven't seen any question जिसमें you need some memory. वो प्लानिंग कमीशन वाला क्वेश्चन was a very obvious question that did not require a memory. ठीक है? So okay, if you cut and optimize the SLR, if you cut the SLR, what will happen? If you cut the SLR, what will happen? You will follow an expansionary or expansionist policy. Yes or no? But not do पूछा है, so cut करके expansionary होगा, but वो नहीं चाहिए. We don't want to go towards this. But if you do this, you will go towards this, so eliminate one. So when you eliminate one, look at it. Look at it. Look at the beauty. You don't even have to go ahead. And latest question है 2020. ऐसा नहीं है कि it's old. Expansionary policy follow करनी है. Would it increase the MSF rate? No, it would not increase the MSF rate. That is the answer. Because they have asked not do. Simple to understand, straightforward to understand. I hope you are getting this. ठीक है, I hope you are understanding this. ठीक है, चलो. Next, we move on to the next question. We move to question number 56, 2018 question. Read the question, try to come up with an answer. Read the question, try to come up with an answer. Read it nicely. These are all latest questions, 18, 19, 20. ये तो look at the way this question is. Once you figure out the first, like one नहीं होगा, one gone, only two remaining. So this can be a very easy question or a very difficult question depending on your understanding. There is no middle ground in this question. It is a very easy or a very difficult question. Next, consider the following statements. The Reserve Bank of India manages and manages and services Government of India securities but not any state government securities. The Reserve Bank of India manages and services Government of India securities but not any state government securities. ऐसा नहीं है. It also manages state government securities also. RBI acts as a banker to government, both central and state government. So one is wrong, one is wrong, one is wrong. 3 by default becomes correct. What is 3 which by default becomes correct? Treasury bills offer are issued at a discount. I think it should be often. I am not sure. Offer bhi ho sakta hai, but treasury bills often are issued at a discount from the par value. The answer is true and it is definitely correct by default. But what is discount from par value? I have kept it for markets chapter. I consciously did not want to take it up here in the banking or in the monetary policy chapter. Treasury bills are issued by the Government of India and there are no treasury bills issued by the state government. Tell me yes or no. ये तो बता ही दो. You only tell me. I am not going to say anything. Treasury bills are issued by the Government of India and there are no treasury bills issued by the state governments. Is it true or is it false? Absolutely it is true, because state governments only have long-term securities. State governments have only long-term securities. What are they? Can anyone tell? They are called as state development loans. I hope you are able to recollect. State development loans long-term hote hain. So this is absolutely true. This is absolutely true. Answer is C, 2 and 3. Very easy question if you know the concept. Very, very, very easy question if you know the concept. So far, hardly 1 or 2 questions were worth applying a lot of brain and worth applying a lot of thinking and analysis. Yes or no? So far the questions have been very easy. Now, this I will just explain in brief. Discount from the par value. So whenever these instruments are issued, I told you treasury bills are nothing but when government wants to borrow, so it will issue you a bill and then it will take the money. Okay? So par value matlab whatever amount is mentioned on the bill matlab instrument, whatever amount is mentioned on the instrument, that is called as the par value. So normally what happens when you buy a treasury bill, government is taking 100 rupees from you, you are getting that bill worth 100 rupees, uspe maturity would be written 5 years, you will get interest for 5 years and then after 5 years you will give that bill back to the government, you will get your 100 rupees back. Yes or no? Yes. In case of treasury bills, most often what happens is 100 rupees ka bill is not given at 100 rupees but it is given at 90 rupees. It is given at 90 rupees. ठीक है? Government बोलता है कि I will not give you interest for 5 years. Instead, I am taking 90 rupees from you now. You take this bill of 90 rupees. You give me 90 rupees. When you come after 5 years with this bill of 90 rupees, I will give you 100 rupees. So ये 90 नहीं 100 ही लिखा होगा इस पे, but it will be issued at 90. समझा? You will have to pay 90 rupees today, but you will get a bill जिस पे 100 rupees लिखा होगा कि after 5 years you can collect 100 rupees from the government, but today you are paying only 90 rupees to the government. So what is the trade-off here? Why you are getting more? Because for 5 years you might not get interest. It depends on issue to issue. It is not fixed कि interest होता ही है या नहीं होता है. Most often interest is not there if it is issued at a discount. ठीक है? That is why they are also called as zero coupon instruments. Zero coupon. Sir, what is coupon? Coupon मतलब interest. I want to do this in markets chapter अच्छे से because this is very haphazard. For now. So yes, treasury bills are often issued at a discount to the par value. So today if you go to buy a treasury bill worth 25,000 rupees, on the bill it will be written 25,000 rupees, but you will have to pay 22,000, let's say. And maturity if it is 1 year, so after 1 year you will get 25,000, but today you are paying 23 or 22,000. Samjha? That is issued at a discount. This is true. This is the important. This is the decider, na? This is the decider. Because 1 you know it is wrong, 1 gone, 1 gone. 3 by default becomes correct. 2 is the decider. 2 is the, if you don't know this, if you don't know about SDLs, or if you don't know that state governments cannot issue treasury bills, then this question will be in your last 20 or second last 20. Not last 20, second last 20 mein ho jayega. It will become a very difficult, not extremely difficult, but very difficult question. Then you will have to rely on guesswork. 3 hai, 2 hai. You will reach B and C, but B and C mein kaun sa hai, that will be difficult. Next. Two 2014, read this. 2014, read this question. Please read this question, peoples. Very commonly mispronounced or misused word. Peoples. Unless there is an apostrophe. If there is an apostrophe, then yes. People's Republic of China. PRC. Read 2014 question. Tell me the answer. Get back to me with the answer. So, let us try to do this. Let us try to attempt this. In the context of Indian economy, which of the following is or are the purpose or purposes of statutory reserve requirements? Okay? To enable the central bank to control the amount of advances banks can create. Yes, that is why we have SLR, CRR, so that easy money, cheap money policy, etc., etc. To make the people's deposits with banks safe and liquid. Yes. To prevent the commercial banks from making excessive profits. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. RBI never disallows or RBI never stops any bank from making excessive profits. The only restriction is that you should not do it at the cost of not transmitting the policy. Okay, if you are transmitting the monetary policy, if you are indulging in fair and square business practices, make profits. Excessive ho to bhi make profits. 3 gone. ठीक है? To force the banks to have sufficient vault cash to meet their day-to-day requirements. As per our understanding, yes. But due to the construction of the question, no. Because 1 and 2, 1. 1 by default becomes correct. To enable the central bank, yes. Now 2 is the question. 2 is the decider. To make the deposits with banks safe and liquid. To make the deposits with banks safe and liquid. ठीक है? Right? So obviously the answer will be B. No, the answer is not B. The answer is only A. The answer is only A. So here they have taken, when they say ki purpose or purpose, they have taken what is the main purpose, or they have taken ki from a central banking point of view, what is the use of SLR or statutory reserve requirements. SLR plus CRR is statutory reserve requirements. So this is an ancillary purpose. This is not the main purpose. That is what the interpretation of the question setter was. Yes, this is also used. I completely agree that this is also one of the purpose. In fact, this is also one of the purpose of SLR, not CRR. CRR में cash remains with RBI. Always remember this thing. So for CRR नहीं आएगा. SLR में only cash component of SLR will be here. People deposit with bank safe and liquid. Yes. So for that they take it. But the mindset of the examiner was A. The mindset of the examiner was A. So official answer key is given A. 99% people would have marked this as wrong. They would have got this wrong. हाथ से होते रहते, but this is the second question we see that where our logic our understanding is different from UPSC official answer ki. This is the second question na. Iske pehle that tax to GDP ratio, one question, that question in itself was very vague. This is the second question. So we have seen so many questions. I think we have seen more than, I don't know, 20-30 questions. So we have seen. Okay. So answer is A. This is not the case here. Sirs, then how will you how to identify ki what is the intention they are talking about? There is no way. To be very honest, I'll put it bluntly. There is no way to do it. You have to take your chances. You have to be sure in your concepts. You have to mark the right answer. And if in case due to some interpretational or some understanding or some differences or some thinking differences between you and the examiner, if the answer key is different from what you have marked, you have to accept it and you have to move on. You cannot do anything about it. I'll be very honest, and this will happen a lot in environment questions also. This will happen a lot in your history questions also. So almost all subjects mein thoda hota hi hai. See, look at polity questions of 2019, 18 or 19. Look at polity questions of 2018 and 19. They are little bit trickier. Okay? So I don't have any more explanation in this. Answer given is A. Considering this is a very ancillary objective and this is a very mainstream, or this is the main tool which is used by central bank or used by RBI, and this is very ancillary in nature. That is what we are looking out for. Okay, answer is A. Don't forget, answer is A. Read this. Read this. The term core banking solutions is sometimes seen in the news. Which of the following statements best describe this term? Core banking solutions. You don't know about this, but in 2015, CBS or core banking solution was implemented all across the country. Earlier also it was there, but it was not there in all the branches. It was not there in all the banks. It was not there in some areas, some unconnected or interconnected areas. So that is why 2015 mein CBS was, core banking solution was fully implemented, and 2016 mein the question has arisen. So core banking solution is seen in the news. See, they are only saying ki news hai iska. What is it? So I'll tell you what is core banking solution. Core banking solution is, so earlier, you might not know, but earlier, if you opened an account with branch XYZ, then all the operations could be done only in branch XYZ. Now it is not the case. If you open an account with branch XYZ, you can do all your operations by visiting some other branch also. Bank same rahega, bank would be same, bank would be Kotak only, but Kotak ka branch 1, Kotak ka branch 2, you can go. So there is no concept of a home branch anymore. When you go to the home branch, earlier there was a concept of home branch. Now many banks have scrapped the concept of home branch. You just open an account anywhere and you can get it serviced. So tomorrow if you go on a tour to, let's say, Bangalore or in Karnataka, if you go and there you have some banking problem, then you can visit any nearest same bank branch and you can get your problem rectified. And then obviously internet banking is also here, telephone banking is here, net banking, mobile banking is here, which makes it redundant for you to visit banks altogether. So CBS is the system which links all these branches, which transfers all your data from one branch to another branch so that all the problems can be solved, right? So for example, if you want to open a new fixed deposit, you open a fixed deposit and in one branch. But let's say you move to someplace else and wahan se if you want to service your fixed deposit or collect interest receipt or etc., you can do that. So behind the scenes, in the bank, behind the scenes, all these are interconnected with the help of core banking solutions. Chalo. It is a network of banks branches which enables customers to operate their account from any branch of the bank on its network regardless of where they open their accounts. Yes, it is an effort to increase RBI's control over commercial banks through computerization. It is not an effort to increase RBI's control over banks. RBI already has a lot of control over the banks, but it is an effort to increase accessibility or increase the services or increase the facilities which are being made, which are available for the these guys, for customers. ठीक है, so 2 नहीं है, 1 by default becomes correct, 3 is the decider. It is a detailed procedure by which a bank with huge NPAs is taken over by another bank. Can you tell me what they are describing here? This is wrong, definitely, answer is A, but can you tell me what they are describing here? Taking over of NPAs, another bank तो नहीं होगा, another company होगा, those companies are called ARCs, I hope you remember. So selling of bad loans, not by another bank but by another company called ARC. Okay, so answer is 1, it is only a network, it has nothing to do with NPAs, it has nothing to do with increasing control of RBI, and it has everything to do with improving customer convenience, improving customer services, and that is why it links all the branches of a bank on the online network. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. See this, 2018, live aa raha hai yaar, live, 2018. Which one of the following statements correctly describes the meaning of legal tender? We have discussed what is legal tender money. Legal tender money is which the other person cannot refuse to accept. Okay? The money which is tendered in courts of law to defray the fee of legal cases. No. The money which a creditor is under compulsion to accept in settlement of his claims. Yes. The bank money in the form of checks, drafts, bills of exchange. No. The metallic money in circulation in a country. No. Can you tell me, are checks legal tender? Are checks legal tender? Can you accept a tea stall wala to, can you force a tea stall vendor or a pan vendor to accept check? You bought a pan worth rupees 20. Can you write him a check and can you say you cannot refuse this check? You cannot. He has the right to insist currency, he has the right to insist cash, right? So that becomes, cash becomes legal tender, check doesn't become legal tender. See, the concept is very clear. And what is asked here? Again, I'm repeating 1,000 times, concept. एक भी factual, not even one factual question is asked till date. ठीक है? हाँ, the trend wala was asked, it has been increasingly, yes, or increasingly, but that was also, I feel, more conceptual in nature. The money which a creditor is under compulsion to accept in settlement of his claims is the very definition of legal tender money. If you don't know what is legal tender, you might be confused with A, you might be confused with B, you might be confused with C. Look at C option. How beautiful is C option? Look at this. The bank money in the form of checks, drafts, bills of exchange. So you can say ki that is also legal status of money hai na usko bhi, because you use it for official transactions, you use it for proper transactions. So that also has a legal status. So this is the money. So nahi. The answer is B. Don't get confused in this. This is the analysis we have to do. Ki what can go wrong? It is not that we know this, oh, mark this, but look at the other options also. Oh, this can also go wrong. This can be, if I did not know what is legal tender exactly, I might have marked C also. Okay, next. This is a very, iske upar na, some editorials had come in 2019 only, beginning of 2019, I remember, Hindu mein articles had come on this, and uske basis pe this question is asked. You might find the answer to this question in static books also. It's a very, very minute thing, so I will tell you. There are rural banks in rural areas, okay? Now these banks are on their own not able to operate efficiently. These banks are not, they don't have the necessary expertise, the necessary resources to operate in small rural areas. So what they do is, they have one parent bank, a normal commercial bank. Axis, HDFC, SBI, PNB, Bank of Baroda, they will have a parent bank. That parent bank would be called as a lead bank. That parent bank would be called as a lead bank. So when that parent bank, lead bank, and these are the normal rural banks. So they, lead bank opens or helps support a normal rural bank in a particular area. So इस area में there are two banks, so both will have this as a lead bank. So the intention is कि lead bank cannot go there and open its own branch. It will adopt or it will help the already existing small local or rural branches, and it will send whom? It will send people. Did we discuss something called as banking correspondents, BCs? Yes, we have discussed BCs. Right, we have discussed BCs, we have discussed banking correspondents there. So they will send these BCs to this area, and the target is, and these division of branches would be shared by these lead banks. This division of smaller banks would be shared by these lead banks on a area specific approach. So he will say, I will take this area, he will say, I will take this area, he will say, I will take this area, he will say, I will take this area. This is all decided area wise, and that is called as a service area approach. Okay, that is called as a service area approach. That service area approach implemented, it is under the lead bank scheme. It is called a lead bank scheme. Service area approach. So you are providing services on an area wise basis. Okay, we have covered these many square meters of rural areas. Uske aage wala is SBI is covering. We are Axis Bank. We have covered this much. So and they are mandated to cover as per the scheme. No need to go into depth in that scheme. It's a very not so mainstream scheme. But definitely the question was asked because there was a lot of discussion on the effectiveness of banking correspondence. This was the article, if I remember, many articles, this was the discussion, effectiveness of banking correspondence, and then it had said that, the article said that they are implemented or they are implementing the service area approach under the lead bank scheme, and also that is what they have picked up and they have asked. No need to fret much over it even if we don't know. Luckily I knew because I read the newspapers religiously. No matter what vision, insights or any other current affairs magazine gives me, I will read newspapers religiously, and this is what helped me in these questions. You remember I told you in the beginning of the lecture, 80 to 120 kaise jana hai? Every mark, every question counts. So this question I attribute to newspaper. Me reading newspaper, I was able to solve this question and I was able to clear the exam. Okay? There might be 2-3 questions which I am able to solve with help of newspaper, but which I might not have been able to solve if I had not read the newspaper, and then what will happen? I will not clear the exam. So everything matters a lot. One question, 1 mark, 0.66 marks, 0.5 marks, they matter a lot. Okay? See, even if you get AIR 1 tomorrow, whether you got the highest marks in prelims or you got just passing marks or you are the last person to get in the list from prelims, doesn't matter, right? Even if tomorrow you are getting 172 marks out of 200 in GS prelims, 172, and if you don't clear mains or go to interview, your name doesn't come up in the list, or even if you get your name in the list, it is not IAS or it comes in the 500, 600 rank, your prelims marks are not going to matter. Okay? What we try our best to score high in prelims is only because of one reason. The reason being that the gap between prelims and mains should go comfortably, so that we are able to fully focus on mains without worrying about prelims results. And because every day, every hour, every minute counts in that time period. Okay? You are studying for 16 hours, so 16-17 hours, every hour, every minute of the time should count, and that is why we need a high score in prelims. Baki, there is no reason for a high score in prelims other than that. Okay? Lead bank service area approach done. Next, ये हो गया B, ये हो गया B. This 2013. Look at this 2013 question. Tell me. 2013 had a lot of good conceptual questions, and that I have to give to 2013 paper setters. They had asked a lot of good conceptual questions. Did you try to solve it? क्या होगा इसका आंसर? Supply of money remaining the same. Supply of money remaining the same. When there is an increase in demand for money, there will be, see, instead of money, just substitute it with some other good. ठीक है? Instead of money, substitute it with some other goods, and instead of interest, think about it as price. I always tell you, what is the price of money? The price of money is interest. You get money at interest. Price of factor of production, money, capital, interest. ठीक है? So supply of money remaining the same when there is an increase in demand for money. So supply of money is remaining the same when there is an increase in demand for money. What will happen? Will the banks reduce interest cost or increase interest cost? Banks will increase the rate of interest. It is as simple, as easy as that. I am telling you, I am betting you, it is also very confusing if you don't know the concept. It is very confusing. Price पूछा है, interest rate पूछा है, interest rate and all. But we have discussed it in a very concise manner. Supply of money is the same. If demand is increasing, which means crowding out might happen, or even if crowding out doesn't happen, banks will see that demand is increasing. Banks are here to make profit. They will increase the interest rate. They will increase the interest rate. Answer is B. Chalo. Current affairs, even if you don't know, if you have not studied about bitcoins, then also I hope you will be able to answer this. It is very simple, very straightforward. Please answer this. Please try to answer this. With reference to Bitcoin, sometimes seen in the news, which of the following statements are correct? Bitcoins are tracked by central banks of the country. See, if they were tracked by central banks of the countries, then it wouldn't have been as famous as now. No? The whole point of Bitcoin is anonymity. The whole point of Bitcoin is that it is decentralized. ठीक है? Anyone with a Bitcoin address can send and receive Bitcoins from anyone else with a Bitcoin address. Absolutely true. 1 is wrong, 2 is right. 1 is wrong, 1 is wrong, 2 is right. Answer is B. Third statement, no need to read also. What is the third statement, by the way? Online payments can be sent without either side knowing the identity of the other. Absolutely. Online payments can be sent. Bitcoin anyone can open, but 1 is not. So 1 is wrong, 1 is wrong. 3 by default becomes correct, but you know 2 is also right, so B, 2 and 3 only. Very simple, very straightforward. Bitcoin hai. See, this is what I call general awareness question. Don't expect that you will study this from books or you will read about it and then you will be able to answer these questions. These are general awareness questions, hai na? Newspaper पढ़ के you come to know what is about Bitcoin. There are so many things going on about Bitcoins that you should be able to answer this question without any previous study of any book anywhere else. You should be able to solve these questions. 2016 question आया था when Bitcoins were new, or you know, Bitcoin was booming, so there was a lot of craze about Bitcoins. People were investing in Bitcoin. See, it is there since 2009-10. Bitcoin has been there since 2009-10, but the craze in India has been picked up since last 5-6 years. So 2016 mein they had asked this question. Answer is 2 and 3 only. My friend, he invested rupees 1000 in Bitcoin in 2011. Just imagine, in 2011 he invested 1000 in Bitcoin, and it raised in 1 year, I think 1000 rupees का कुछ 5000 हो गया था, and he sold. He thought कि 5000 हो गया, and if he hadn't sold it, then today he would have at least 78 lakh rupees, 70-80 lakh rupees. We had calculated the value of his holdings in today's time. आज बेचता वो, so he would have got 70-80 lakhs, but he sold it 10 years ago. He sold it too soon. He got only 5000 या 5-10,000 rupees, something like that. Just imagine the power of Bitcoin. Bitcoin पे अलग discussion है, speculation and all of that is very different. In markets chapter maybe we'll cover some of it. The point is we don't have much time. ठीक है, because there are so many concepts which are there in economics कि क्या ही कर सकते हैं हम, right? चलो, next we'll go ahead. इसका भी है, इसका भी है. 2016 payments banks, 2017 small finance banks. Oh sir, what are they doing here? Please attempt. All yours. मैदान खुला है, आपका ही है. Please, all yours. 2016 question paper. Question 2016 payment banks. The establishment of payment banks के बारे में पूछा है 2016. Very good. The establishment of payment banks is being allowed in India to promote financial inclusion. Very good. Which of the following statements are correct in this context? Mobile telephone companies and supermarket chains that are owned and controlled by residents are eligible to be promoters of payment banks. Yes, anyone is eligible to be the promoter of payment banks as far as you fulfill the minimum capital requirement. Second, payment banks can issue both credit cards and debit cards. Here is the twist. Yes or no? We have discussed this, so I am not going to discuss why not credit cards, why it is wrong, etc. etc. ठीक है, credit card नहीं हो सकता, payment bank cannot give loans, payment banks cannot undertake lending activities. So this and this is, in fact, this is reinforcing this. If you know credit card is a lending activity, then you will know that 2 is wrong. You should know that credit card is a lending activity, payment bank cannot undertake lending activity. Absolutely true. 2 is wrong, 2 wrong, 2 wrong, 2 wrong. Answer 1 and 3. Now please pay attention. ये ठीक है, we got to the answer and we arrived at the answer. That is fine. That is expected. That you will be able to do in economics. You will be able to arrive at 80-90% of the answers. That I am guaranteeing you. But very important part. What was the deciding factor in this question? Credit cards. Yes or no? Deciding factor was lending activity. That credit card is a lending activity. Okay? Isn't that the essence of payment bank? That they are not here for lending business, that they are here for payments business, transaction business. Samjha? Did you understand why this is so important? Did you understand why we have to study the concepts and we have to get the core? See, whenever I start a chapter, I reach to the core, I discuss the core issue and then baki sab आजू बाजू का फालतू चीज I discuss. ठीक है, there might be questions from those ancillary things also, but isn't core what they are checking here? 2016 में, 2015 में, 2013 Nachiket Moore Committee, 2014 recommendations open, 15 में we established framework, 16 में payments bank were registered. And what are they asking about payment bank? Is it minimum capital requirement 100 crore, 200 crore, 300 crore? No. Lending activity. Main essence पूछ रहा है वो. Small finance bank. This is a very stupid question. Huh? Read this 2017 question. Small finance bank. I laugh when I see this question, and this was my first attempt when I gave the paper. I was literally laughing. कि क्या है ये? What is the purpose of setting up small finance banks is being asked. क्या है question? What is the purpose of setting up small finance banks? To supply credit to small business units. Yes. To supply credit to small and marginal farmers. Yes. Essence. Yes. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Either this or either this. 3 is the decider now. To encourage young entrepreneurs to set up business, particularly in rural areas. There is no such mandate of small finance banks. I call this question as stupid because this statement seems too good to be, like, you know, बहुत अच्छा है. It is a feel good statement. क्या रे? हो सकता है. It is possible. This is very, very, very much possible. ठीक है ना? But we know that it is not, and we know कि encourage young entrepreneurs to set up businesses, particularly in rural areas. This is the main objective of Stand Up Startup India scheme. ठीक है, ये इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव है, स्टैंड अप और स्टार्टअप इंडिया का, not the objective of small finance bank. So D is wrong, 1 is right. but many people have marked 1, 2 and 3 and they have gotten it wrong. थोड़ा 19-20 का फर्क है, it is 19-20. You know, when you read this to young entrepreneurs, to encourage young entrepreneurs to set up businesses, particularly in rural areas, so might be true small finance bank है, so it will indirectly, definitely yes, indirectly 100% yes, but main objective is to supply credit and supply credit. Abhi, because of that, if they are getting encouraged, then well and good. That is a multiplier effect. That is an ancillary multiplier effect, but it is not a direct intended consequence of it. It is an indirect intended consequence. ठीक है, समझा? Let us move ahead. ये तो क्या है? E क्या है? What is this? Very quickly, priority sector lending by banks in India constitutes the lending to whom? Priority sector lending by banks in India constitutes the lending to whom? Agriculture, MSME, weaker section. See, I told you all good and feel good sectors are there in MSME. So answer is all of the above. Even if you don't know the specifics, answer is all of the above. The key point is you should know what is priority sector lending and what is the main objective of priority sector lending. Yes or no? Once you know that, you will be able to get this. Next. Which of the following grants grant direct credit assistance to rural households? Remember, I had told you direct assistance कौन नहीं देता है and कौन देता है. Remember, development banks don't give or refinance institutions don't give credit directly to rural, directly to households. Rural क्या? Directly to any households. Yes or no? This was asked in 2013. ठीक है? So we know that RRBs are like RRBs are commercial banks only. We know RRBs are commercial banks only. They are excluded from, they are given stepmotherly treatment in some of the things like LAF and MSF. But leaving aside that, RRBs are commercial banks only. So they definitely, उनका काम ही है. They are regional rural banks. Their work is to give credit assistance to rural households. So one आ गया, one आ गया, one आ गया, 2 eliminate हो गया. चलो, 2 eliminate हो गया. NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. See, they have not given short form here. Smart they are. They have not said NABARD. They have said National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. You should know they are talking about NABARD. It seems silly now, trust me, but when you have 50 seconds and when you are already scared from not being able to solve history MCQs, not being able to solve or understand environment MCQs, तभी ये सब भी matter करता है. We are very comfortable. You are sitting at your home, eating, drinking, you are chilling, you are texting. Okay, I am sitting here, I am standing here, nobody is here in this room alone, I am solving this MCQs with you. Very easy for us to do. In the exam, difficult. NABARD, does NABARD give direct credit? No, it is a refinance institution. Remember, SIDBI, NABARD, Mudra, National Housing Bank, all these are refinance institutions. They do not deal with public directly. So 2 is gone, 2 is gone, 2 is gone. Answer is 1 and 3. Even if you don't know. Remember, land development banks, they are for long-term agricultural credit. We have done in our banking chart, land development bank was somewhere here. Just before investment bank, merchant bank, there was land development bank. So it gives long-term agricultural credit. Abhi long-term agricultural credit kisko jayega? It will go to farmers only. Yes or no? Yes. Land development bank, regional rural banks, NABARD doesn't. So what was the key here? Can you tell me the key here? That NABARD doesn't. So if you start with NABARD, 2 eliminated, 2 eliminated, 2 eliminated, answer is 1 and 3. Simple question hai. Just you should know कि NABARD का objective is not to grant direct credit assistance. This simple fact will help you reach this answer even if you don't know land development banks, even if you are confused about regional rural banks. ठीक है, 2013 very easy question had come. You should be able to solve them. Simple hai. So far understanding very good. Let us move ahead. Try to look at the essence. See, कहना क्या चाहते हो is applicable in this question also. कहना क्या चाहते हो कि NABARD does not give credit. Yes. क्या उसके basis पे answer आता है? Yes. In many questions answer comes. In some question answer doesn't come. वो भी है. D all of the above. C 1 and 3. Nice question. I like 2000. So many questions from 2013. Are you seeing? पूरा chapter ही उन्होंने पूछ लिया. Entire chapter they asked in 2013 only. Consider the following liquid assets. Read this. I am giving time to these MCQs because these are important and they arrive in wholesale numbers. Have you seen how many MCQs we have done? 2 chapters only we are doing. 3 chapters. Fiscal, monetary and banking together. ठीक है? Bulk में MCQs आ रहे हैं. Wholesale. Consider the following liquid assets. What are they asking here? The correct sequence of these assets in decreasing order of liquidity. I hope you know what is liquidity. I hope you know what is liquidity. Liquidity is being readily convertible to cash or money, instantly convertible. Decreasing order पूछा है. So most liquid would come here, then less liquid would come first, then less liquid, then less liquid, then less liquid, etc., etc., etc. The correct sequence of these assets is the decreasing order of liquidity. बताओ. What is the most liquid here? Obviously, currency is the most liquid here. Fourth पहला आएगा. Anything else is gone. One gone. This gone. 4, 3, 2, 1 or 4, 1, 3, 2. So the deciding factor is 1, 3. 4 के बाद क्या आएगा? So 4 के बाद demand deposits and savings deposits and time deposits. So time deposits we know they are fixed deposits. ये तो आने ही नहीं वाला है starting में. So ठीक है 3 and 1 ही है. So starting में नहीं है ये. Now there are two ways of doing this. Either you know which is more liquid between demand and savings, or you know that time deposits is the least liquid of it all. If you know time deposit is the least liquid of it all, there is only one option which is D, which is the right answer. ठीक है, even if you don't know between 1 and 3, छोड़ो ना. You know 2 is the least liquid. If you don't know 2 is the least liquid, but if you know कि savings deposits is less liquid than demand deposits. Why, sir? Demand deposits में when we speak about demand deposits, generally it is current account, savings account together. Generally, when we speak about demand deposits, if I write demand deposits and time deposits, so time deposits is fixed deposit and recurring deposits. Demand deposits is current account and savings account. ठीक है? This is the general classification by the banking system. Now, since they have split it into savings अलग से mention किया है, which means what remains in demand deposits? Current account. So what they are trying to say here is this is current account, this is savings account. Just for the sake of making the question a bit more complex, they have divided into two. Now which is more liquid, current or savings? I have told you savings has some minimum balance requirement, which if you don't maintain, you have to pay penalty. It is very liquid. If you withdraw that, you pay penalty, but you use the money, etc. But compared to current account, is it more liquid? No, it is not more liquid because minimum balance रखना पड़ता है. There are certain, अभी तो there is lot of flexibility and lot of features are there, but 2013, almost 8 years ago, there were limits on the number of transactions also. कि you can make only 25 transactions, or you can make only ATM withdrawals, only 5 ATM withdrawals for free. Above that, there will be charges, etc. No such restrictions are there on current account. Why? Because current account is a business account. Lot of withdrawals, lot of deposits are the whole feature of current account. So if you open a current account with a bank, it will give you the opportunity of making unlimited withdrawals, unlimited deposits with respect to quantum of transactions as well as with respect to quantum of money, number of transactions and the amount of money also. So demand deposits is definitely more liquid compared to savings deposits. So 4, 1, 3 and then you arrive at the answer. But the easier way to do it is time deposits least liquid होते हैं with the banks. I am writing with the banks because when we do money supply, small concept है, it will hardly take half an hour for me to teach you money supply. But when I teach you money supply, ये banks word बहुत important है. So these are all banking system. Yes or no? Banks, banks, banks and then currency obviously. So the answer is 4132. ठीक है? Again 2013 questions. So many questions in 2013. ये तो हमने we did it in the last lecture only. चलो fast. Tell me. Which one of the following groups of items is included in India's foreign exchange reserves? foreign currency assets, special drawing rights and loan from other foreign countries. Foreign currency assets, gold holdings of RBI and SDRs. We have done this ना, अभी तो हमने किया है ये. Foreign currency assets, loans from the World Bank and SDR. Foreign currency में क्या क्या होता है? That is actually being asked here. ठीक है? So foreign currency assets, special drawing rights and loan from foreign countries. So we know one thing. Foreign currency assets तो होगा. इसमें भी है, इसमें भी है, इसमें भी है, इसमें भी है. कोई सेंस नहीं है. I remember I told you currency of IMF is also there. SDR, it is called as special drawing rights. SDR. SDR is there in this. SDR is there in this. SDR is there in this. SDR is not there in this. So eliminate this. Third, loan from foreign countries. Is loan your reserve or is loan your asset actually? If you have taken loan from foreign currency in foreign currency, is it really your reserve or it is your liability? You know, it is your liability. It cannot be included in reserve. ठीक है, चलो फिर भी आगे देखते हैं. इसमें लोन है, इसमें गोल्ड है, इसमें लोन है, इसमें गोल्ड है, एंड इसमें क्या है? फॉरेन करेंसी एसेट्स, लोन्स फ्रॉम वर्ल्ड बैंक. अगेन दिस इज ऑल्सो लोन. लोन वर्ल्ड बैंक से हो या फॉरेन करेंसी फॉरेन कंट्री से हो, लोन इज लोन. एंड एसडीआर. गोल्ड, वी हैव डिस्कस्ड, गोल्ड इज देयर. गोल्ड इज देयर इन फॉरेन करेंसी एसेट्स. ठीक है, there are gold reserves, there is gold reserve tranche also, there is gold, our gold is kept with IMF also, gold reserve position, reserve tranche position. ठीक है, loan cannot be a part of your reserves, they can be a part of your external debt, they are a part of external debt, but they cannot be a part of your reserves. So when they are not a part of your reserves, then your answer is gold. This is the key. See, even if you don't know gold है या नहीं है, you should know कि loans is not reserve, loan is not reserve. ये तो पहले एलिमेंट. बाकी एवरीथिंग इज सेम. एसडीआर इज देयर, एवरीथिंग इज देयर. ठीक है, वन मोर स्मॉल हिंट और वन मोर स्मॉल ट्रिक टू डू इट इज कि लोन फ्रॉम फॉरेन कंट्रीज एंड लोन फ्रॉम वर्ल्ड बैंक इज द सेम. लोन फ्रॉम फॉरेन कंट्रीज एंड लोन फ्रॉम वर्ल्ड बैंक इज द सेम. ठीक है, सो यू शुड बी आइडियली कंफ्यूज बिटवीन बी एंड सी. सॉरी, you should not be ideally confused between A and C because they are loans दोनों में है. If they are same, then one of them cannot be the answer if both have the same things. So then you can arrive at B. These are, anyway I am justifying like various ways of going towards the answer. Whatever you feel comfortable, whatever is your style, ultimately you should arrive at the answer. ठीक है, is it good? चलो. Very good. Yes or no? Foreign currency assets, gold holdings of RBI and SDRs. Yes. Next. Two thousand fourteen. What is or what are the facilities the beneficiaries can get from the services of business correspondent? I told you they are also called as bank sathis, they are called as business correspondents, they are called as banking correspondents. ठीक है, they are also called as banking correspondents, अलग अलग नाम से, but it's the same thing. ठीक है, what are the services? What do you think are the services? It enables the beneficiaries to draw their subsidies and social security benefits in their villages. Yes, I told you they go with the machine, or if not the machine, they go with cash and they record ki आपका balance 2000 rupees है. If you want to withdraw, I have the cash. He says, okay, I will withdraw 150 rupees. He gives 150 rupees, and then the banker takes his sign or thumb, makes an entry in the register, comes in the evening, updates in the system, and the account balance gets updated automatically. ठीक है? So enables the beneficiaries to draw their subsidies and social security. Yes, it enables the beneficiaries in the rural areas to make deposits and withdrawals. So simple, straightforward है. क्या बोलूँ मैं इसको अभी? This is the definition, and this is the derivation of this. Yes or no? इससे ये this has been feeding into the first one because it enables the beneficiaries in the rural areas to make deposits and withdrawals both, and withdrawals may draw their subsidies and social security benefits also. So the answer is C, both 1 and 2. ठीक है? Very good. Let us read the next question. Read this. Chalo, even if you don't know, try to take a guess. This was current affairs. This is 100% current affairs. So whenever you will read the book, you will read reference book, you will find a reference to this word intercreditor agreement, because that was in news and the books were updated, and now it has been included in books also. But try to take a guess. If I ask you to take a guess, what would be your best guess here? What is the purpose of intercreditor agreement signed by Indian banks and financial institutions recently? See, intercreditor agreement. Have we read the word something called as committee of creditors? So the only time when you hear the word creditor and banks and financial institutions is when we speak about insolvency and bankruptcy code. I hope even if you don't get there immediately, you will get there once you revise and once you read newspapers and all. It becomes fairly simple. I'm telling you, trust me. So intercreditor agreement is an agreement amongst the creditors. Amongst the various creditors, it is an intercreditor agreement. Why will they make, see, when banks are acting as a creditor, which means they have given some loan, and why will they make an agreement? Because they have given loan to someone and he might not be able to repay or some reason. To lessen the government of India's perennial burden of fiscal deficit and current account deficit. Okay. To support the infrastructure projects of central and state governments. Okay. Act as independent regulator in case of applications of loans for 50 crores or more. Banks will come together and act as an independent regulator. RBI क्या बोलेगा? RBI will go home. RBI will say, मेरा job हो गया, मैं क्या करूँ? Job छोड़ दूँ? You know, that is a meme. Yes or no? Definitely not. See, I'm trying to think from your point of view. I know the answer, I know how to arrive at the answer, but I'm trying to think from your point of view. Okay, this maybe this. To aim at faster resolution of stressed assets of 50 crores or more which are under consortium lending. So this is a key word here, consortium lending. Even if you don't know what is consortium lending, you should know what is consortium. It is a key word. It is an English word. So you should know the meaning. And ye kaise, sir, how would we know this word? Don't refer books for these words. Refer newspapers. Hence, I stress on reading newspapers, because then only you will be able to understand what do you mean by consortium. If you don't know what you mean by consortium, then it becomes difficult. And newspaper has these words: Hindu, Indian Express, general newspapers, UPSC newspapers have these words, not business newspapers. Consortium means a group. Consortium means a group. Consortium of companies, consortium of students, consortium means a group. Consortium lending means as a group they have lent. As a group they have lent. When they are making an intercreditor agreement amongst the creditors, they are making a creditor agreement with banks and financial institutions, which means they have given the lending as a group. Yes or no? And obviously, if you know, the spirit of insolvency and bankruptcy code is to aim for faster resolution of stressed assets. Faster you resolve, the better it is for you. To aim at faster resolution of stressed assets of 50 crores or more. So the bigger ones के लिए they had given a special special agreement they had signed कि you know, for faster resolution. So it is this. See, ये क्यों नहीं हो सकता? Because why will banks sign an agreement and take the responsibility of reducing government's debt? Government's debt is nothing but bank's business, and they are assured of returns and repayment because it is government, it is sovereign. Banks don't have any problem with this. Support the infrastructure projects of central and state governments. Yes, this can be a very good option to this. This is a tough option for this. To support the infra projects of central and state governments, yes, it can be done. If this was not an option, probably with no idea, I also might have marked this. But since this is an option and this is more suitable, and I knew in 2019, I read the newspaper, I knew this is it. I'm talking about when you don't know, then what you can think about it. When you know, to pad ke haan D, answer, right? Finished. 30 seconds, 20 seconds, game over. right? When you don't know, I'm talking about those times. What is the purpose of intercreditor agreement? Right? So answer is D. थोड़ा difficult, थोड़ा twisted question है, but again, what are they asking here? Concept. Why intercreditor agreement? Then you should also relate to IBC. We have done IBC, we have done this. ठीक है? Concept. Concept is very important. Next. (2018) questions live 2018. See this. I have not taught you this because I thought that I will cover this question while teaching you this. (100% current affairs). 100% current affairs. After demonetization, lot of people switch to online payments. Yes or no? I hope you know this. After demonetization, lot of people switch to online payments. When lot of people switch to online payments, there was an issue of merchant discount rate. Now this is the background. Now try to guess to take an answer. Guess is what we will be doing most of the times in UPSC exam. 80 question के बाद guess ही करना है और कुछ नहीं करना है. Yes or no? So guessing is what we would be doing, but try to take a logical guess, try to think about something, read the options. I will give you 2 minutes, but read them, try to go through it and tell me. Which one of the following best describes the term merchant discount rate? Merchant means someone seller or someone, है ना, merchant है वो. Merchant discount rate they are talking about. The incentive given by a bank to a merchant for accepting payments through debit cards pertaining to that bank. Okay. Amount paid back by banks to their customers when they use debit cards for financial transactions for purchasing goods or services. Okay. Charge to a merchant by a bank for accepting payments from his customers through the bank's debit cards. Okay. Incentive given by government to merchants for promoting digital payments. Very good question. I love this question. If you don't know what is merchant discount rate, then you will not be able to answer this question. So, have you swiped a card at a shop or a hotel or restaurant or anywhere? Have you, or mall mein jaake? You must have seen your parents also swipe cards, debit cards, credit cards. Okay? When you are swiping, what does that mean? How does that translate? When you are swiping, your bank account gets debited and the merchants, the sellers' accounts get credited. Yes or no? वो machine जो होता है, that machine is called as a point of sale machine, POS. या है ना, point of sale machine. That machine is called as a point of sale machine or POS. ठीक है? That machine is called a point of sale machine. The machine which is portable, the machine which उसमें SIM card होता है, there is a SIM card in the machine and it is connected to the network, Vodafone या Jio, whatever. And when the machine is connected, when you swipe the card, then that machine is called point of sale. Because that is the point of sale ना, when you swipe it, English, point of sale वहाँ हो रहा है, ठीक है? That is a point of sale machine. Those machines are issued by banks to the vendors. So let's say, for example, let's say you go to a mall and you buy a new pair of jeans, ठीक है? So वो jeans store जो होगा, that store will have some current account with the bank because he is running a business in the mall, etc. That bank will give him an option. Do you want an option to accept cards? He will say yes, why not? Because malls mein most of the people pay by cards. Bank will say take this machine, just swipe it, your account will be credited, customer's account will be debited. Bank shopkeeper is very happy. Now what he will ask is, are you providing this service free of charge? Then you say ki no, this service is not provided free of charge. Bank will say ki I am charging a commission from you, and that commission or that rate on every transaction I will get some percentage. It can be a fixed percentage also, monthly 5%, or it can be per transaction also. Ki let's say in your shop customers come and buy jeans for 2000 rupees, 1% I will take, 2% I will take, rest I will credit to your account. Bank ये बोलता है to the seller, ठीक है? That is called as the merchant discount rate. Why was it in news? Because of demonetization, lot of transactions were now happening due to via cards and everything. So banks had hiked the merchant discount rate. See, banks, I told you, they are very cunning. They had hiked the merchant discount rate, and merchants were now merchants were obviously opposing it, because they said ki already we are losing some money as a part of the commission or discount rate which you are taking. So that is why this was in news. So it is a charge to a merchant by a bank, charge to a seller बोल सकते हैं इसको, by a bank for accepting payments from his customers through the bank's debit cards. And please bear in mind, it is also applicable on credit cards, but यहाँ पे for simplicity they have mentioned debit cards. Credit cards के लिए it becomes a more complex thing, because in credit cards he will get the amount today, but your amount will not be debited today, because I told you credit card is like a loan. Your amount will be debited after 30 years when you make the bill payment, but shopkeeper will get the money today or now itself. थोड़ा complicated है, let's not get into the commercial aspects of banking. So that is merchant discount rate. It was in news, so no need of thinking that we have not covered it, or how would we know what is it. See, whatever has been asked, we are covering it as we go through the papers, and 100% of those things are from current affairs. Lead bank scheme, current affairs. Merchant discount rate, current affairs. Capital output ratio, current affairs. There are many other things which come from current affairs. Take a look at this question. Which one of the following links all the ATMs in India? Now think and tell. क्या है ऐसा? We have discussed payment systems. In very brief, we have discussed NEFT, RTGS and all. Which, see, this is an example of general awareness question. This tests your awareness. This answer you will not find in books. You will find it in books now, but you might not find in books before 2018. ठीक है? General awareness है. Just think. Do you know anything about IBA? We have done something about IBA. I told you it is an industry body. It is a representative body of all the banks. ठीक है? Do you think they will link all the ATMs? ATMs are a crucial part of payment and settlement systems. I hope you know this. ठीक है? So IBA नहीं है. NSDL, you don't know what is NSDL. RBI, yes, RBI can be there. But I told you RBI has entrusted all the responsibilities of payment and settlements to one body only, which is risky now. NPCI, I hope you know this, National Payments Corporation of India. ठीक है? And I told you, now try to take a guess. Let us check your revision skills. RBI is now asking for or inviting applications from private entities to act as payment processors. Yes or no? What are they called as? I told this in the lecture कि they are calling them as this. There is a term for them, for companies who will act as payment system operators. There is only one payment system operator currently, NPCIL. ATM is a payment system operating bank. It is operating system because it links all the banks, it links all the ATMs in the country. So NPCI is the right answer. This is based on awareness. This is based on your common sense. This is an industry body. This you don't know. For now, I will tell. This you should know. And now RBI nahi hai. See, this is being confused between C and D is acceptable. Being confused between anything else is not acceptable. Now, I asked you a question. Ki RBI has announced applications. I hope some of you at least are able to identify this new umbrella entity. Remember? Ha sir, yes sir, now we remember. New umbrella entity, NUE. Private operators who will be part of payment system, who will control the payment system and take some of the responsibility away from NPCI, because now it is only one. It is only a PSU NPCI. Okay? Now this NPCI, I hope you know, is owned by RBI and IBA. We had discussed this. NPCI is owned by RBI and IBA together. But they don't have the responsibility of linking ATMs. NPCI has. उसके लिए ही NPCI बना है. For that they have made NPCI. What is NSDL? Welcome to Markets chapter. We will cover it in the Markets chapter. NSDL I will cover it in the Markets chapter. This is related to capital markets. This is not related to your banking. This is related to capital markets. ठीक है, I hope you are able to understand this. I hope you are able to appreciate this. Right? Let us move ahead. Oh sir, capital adequacy ratio. Read very quickly. Read very quickly. Capital adequacy ratio. What is capital adequacy ratio? Capital adequacy ratio is the amount that banks have to maintain in the form of their own funds to offset any loss that banks incur if the account holders fail to repay dues. Yes or no? Yes. Capital adequacy ratio is decided by each individual bank. Yes or no? No. RBI decides capital adequacy ratio for all the banks. Yes or no? 11.59 plus 2.5, we know the ratio. Not decided by each individual bank. Yes, they can maintain their capital over and above as per their individual needs, but the ratio is not decided by individual banks. It is decided by RBI. So the answer is A1 only. Very quickly, 2019, chairman of public sector banks are selected by whom? Chairmen of public sector banks are selected by whom? ठीक है, Banks Board Bureau, we have seen the website also of Banks Board Bureau. We have seen everything about Banks Board Bureau. ठीक है, now there was a confusion among students when this question had come कि Banks Board Bureau तो recommend करता है, but ultimately selection is done by Finance Ministry or Cabinet. Yes or no? But here UPSC's intention was to ask you कि who has the responsibility. So yes, sometimes I am telling you now, sometimes UPSC goes to very specific level of understanding required, sometimes it asks the substance. So I call this a problem of substance over form. It is an accounting concept, but it is applicable to everything in life. Substance versus form. Okay? Form means the literal form, the literal or the technical form. ठीक है, in what form is it appearing? हम बोलते हैं ना, it has appeared in the form of a 12 marker, it has appeared in the form of a 15 marker. So technical form, are we focusing on technicalities in this question, or are we looking at the substance of this question? That is a question which is which you will face in around 20-25% of the questions. In out of 100, 20 questions तो ऐसे होंगे where you have to think whether technicalities is the concern or substance is the concern. So here now how to identify that? Please keep on doing past year papers. You will try to identify and do for all subjects, history, geography, etc. Do for all subjects. That is how you will realize ki how UPSC sets paper. So many times I don't know the answer to a question which is coming in the UPSC paper. I don't know the answer. But since I have done UPSC past paper so well, I know that this is the answer. I have no idea about it. But I know with the framing of the options, with the way in which options are selected. Obviously, this doesn't happen in 100% of the cases, but most of the time, read करके समझ जाते कि at least A and B are not the option. This तो I can arrive at, and then C and D में confusion होके we can mark one best. Similarly, this question is based on form. I selected. I did not think too much. This doubt was in my mind also. क्या होगा? Is it Finance Ministry or is it what? But then I thought कि नहीं, UPSC might be checking substance here, कि substantively who selects Banks Board Bureau. If you go to technical form, then you will debate on the word selected versus recommended. Tomorrow UPSC might ask that question in that technical form also, where it will check technical form. This is a thing which we have to live. This is a thing which everyone or every aspirant goes through. So don't complain about these things. Don't worry over these things. Don't stress over these things. Just try to ensure that the answers which should not go wrong do not go wrong. इसमें कोई substance, form, interpretation, vagueness, nothing is there in these questions. So अभी तक we have seen so many questions. 2 to 3 questions I myself have admitted that they are weird. Either the answer key is weird or the question is weird. But apart from that, 95% of the questions are straightforward, correct, बराबर. This is also in the form of straightforward only, because if I wouldn't have told you selected versus recommended, you would have also told Banks Board Bureau. Yes or no? That is the right answer. Simple. Okay? I want to stop here. Why? Because the next few questions are from money supply chapter, and since we have not done that, it doesn't make any sense to cover that via questions. Money supply will take half an hour. Then we can move on to money supply questions, and then finally we start with World Trade Organization, WTO. We are ending the economy. We are coming towards the end of economy. There are many things honestly which are not covered by us, but that is the limitation of time which we have. You will find those in books. More importantly, you will find those in survey of next year which will come, and the budget of the coming year, and the newspapers. So hence, our job is to understand the concepts. But I hope out of the, let's say, 35-40 odd questions we have seen, I hope you are able to answer at least half of them. If you are able to answer at least half of them at this stage, you have to answer all these questions after 1 year of preparation. So now, after 1 month of preparation, if you are able to answer these 1 or 2 months, then it's a good thing. Keep on revising. If you have any doubt in any of the questions, please let me know. We'll stop here. Thank you so much. We'll continue with this. We'll continue with money supply and WTO chapter in the next session. Thank you.